Private jokes or after you record?
They're recorded, you have to sign them for record.
Okay, but I'm not signing proxy, I just want to vote.
No, we're doing it all based on proxy because if we do a continuation, so we just need the proxies at this time.
Yeah, well, I only vote when the actual vote is.
Open a new.
Okay.
And that's why I'm not doing it.
Yep, so if you want to do it this way, you can sign in
Okay.
and then don't put the top of it and then just use the rest down.
How are we organized here?
By last name.
Okay. LLC. Popular name.
Turn this into.
Yes, I can take those. Thank you. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you.
I had to check with you about it.
Are these ones here?
I feel like there's something that.
And you know what I mean when I say that's what I was looking for. This is a proxy, and I wanted to vote. Yes, vote again.
Okay, that's how that one too. She said you just fill in the answers, but you don't sign the proxy. Because do we need I guess we need to sign this too, right? Not my friends, circus. There's this one and this one. There's this one and this one. There's two. Okay. I'll just wait.
No, because that's what your original declaration went. So they just went,
Sign-in sheet, and then there's this also.
Oh, that's a special different meeting. That's just to check everybody. She already said I
How many are you short, you know? So we could.
I got a right?
you can, but you have to sign it out of the box. You have to write
All right, so I'll just wait. Okay, we don't need to sign it, right?
No, you don't have to.
It's not required.
And more importantly,
Oh, sorry. No, I don't think you want it.
If it was over tonight, I'm gonna guess we had it. But it's recommended. I didn't know what I wasn't. They said,
No, give me 1 second, I'll get it. Hey, you're good.
So, like they said, at a certain time, I don't know what is that. So, yeah, but I do, I'll definitely make it. But I wanted to let you, I just want to let you know that we're. Yeah.
they like fires. We don't care.
I didn't ask them.
They're like, yeah, we want real. So.
Yeah, we don't have quorum anyway, and they're gonna kill the vote, from my understanding.
Do you know when you're
Well, right, but we don't have quorum to even open the half vote. I just thought, right, but, to open the meeting, but then you have to kill a vote after that, because it's not, they don't want to. From my understanding, they said no. They're gonna redo it, they don't like the wording.
Well, then that would be a vote.
Yeah.
Not a word.
Right, but from what I understand, they're gonna talk about that.
Okay. I'll hold on to it.
we're not voting tonight, we don't have.
Here you go. Sorry,
I
right.
didn't.
Give me 1 second.
Probably not. I have one to vote. We don't have.
You made me cry. copies of this, but she got like, I don't have any extra copies. I apologize. Stacy put the package together because Stacy's now managing, and it doesn't look like she gave me any extra agendas. She just gave me the agendas for the regular special meeting. Yeah, so Stacy made me a whole bunch of those packets.
Yes.
Glenn, are you looking up to the PD at all by any chance? I just want to put the agenda up there. I'm sorry, Stacy made a whole bunch of the special meeting, but not the agenda.
Oh. So they would. I don't know. Hey, how many, do we know how many were short on quorum? How many?
Well, we have quorum to start the meeting, but from what I have here, let me get the exact number. You only have 43 here, and we need.
I know, we have more coming
I have a few
too.
more comments, but I don't know if it's going to be the quorum or what's the count of that?
438.
Yeah, I don't have that many coming.
438
Two-thirds.
votes
It's got to be for.
to change anything.
Now, for amendments like this, there has to be two-thirds majority vote. Instead of 51%.
Okay.
this has to
And
be
to change like the bylaws so that we don't have to have that, what? how does that work?
51%.
51%, okay.
Yeah.
Including renters or not including
No,
renters?
only homeowners, registered property owners.
Okay.
So all the LLCs probably aren't gonna vote.
No.
So like if you, at each point, if you had an LLC had like 15 renters, that LLC would get 15 votes,
If they voted.
if they voted.
Yeah.
And the issue is, well, no one.
You said there might be one that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one. I have one. Thank you, Joanne, for holding our hands to it.
No, no problem. That's what, I didn't know how I was gonna go tonight.
So it used to be on the other side, now it's gonna be on the proper side.
I just, we have to be there.
Thank you, Joe.
Vote. Get myself organized. Thank you. We're at 46 now.
We're about 3 times that short.
It's probably, I mean, unless you have a huge flood, but
Yeah, I know that I'm gonna have a small tackle, but not enough to even touch stuff.
438, so we need roughly 393 more.
Figure out the copy that's not cooperating. That's all right. Joanne, I didn't fill mine out. Do you want me to fill it out?
Oh yeah, if you want to fill it out. I mean, I don't know what depends on what everyone decides to do tonight,
You
but
get all that kisses, you gotta share. Well, you gotta go right down the line.
oh yeah.
I appreciate it, humor.
There, it's in the back of that one. Did you vote yet did you want to vote or you want to sign in for the membership meeting part? Already did.
Joanna,
Oh,
how many are we short?
we're gonna have 900. Because we're gonna call the order and you only have enough to put quorum.
Go ahead.
Because your quorum is 10%, and I'm not for that. Because your quorum is 10%, so in order to make a meeting voted, people to vote 5. Yes, I have 47.
No, we have to do it all over again, every time.
So those are not.
Okay, so we can't call the order. That person is vote for you.
It's the same thing, you guys
Yeah.
don't have, or you guys either reschedule it or.
3-year struggle.
Oh, yeah. At things like we don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's just, it'll be the same thing, so you don't have to vote number.
In the beginning, it used to be. So does it remember that?
She just asked us if it was even from.
Oh, yeah. They're all saying like,
No.
yeah.
I know it's a sad day for you, right? Is it
Sunday.
today? Was today today or?
Sunday.
Sunday? I thought he had.
He has to go, he reports today, but he comes back at night.
Oh, so you still get him for the weekend?
Yeah.
No.
But he,
Is
well,
that-
he goes during the day, then comes back at night. Yeah.
Has everyone here signed in or put in a proxy today or
I haven't.
voted? Okay.
I don't think you have mine because if the batch was lost.
So if you haven't given me one of these limited proxies or signed in, it's either or.
Sign in.
Okay, did you give a proxy yet? Okay. So it's by your last name.
Okay. I would hold up.
Okay, I have
So sign in.
7 on the way over here. 7 o'clock. So I'll do it on the board.
Even if we turn it on, we still have enough to. All right,
Okay, it goes by last.
if they want one grade.
I don't have enough.
Where's the last one?
No, Terry filters out water. Terry filters out water.
I don't know the bar.
It was a single page.
No, Candy Tuck.
There's a lot.
In here, give me one second.
Like I said, I could count 8 in my street.
What was your address? What's your address?
Oh, Candy Tuck.
I think I stuck it somewhere.
Yeah. I know, people are like, oh, I'm sorry, I just say, I'm like, or do you want? Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to just like, let your pen go, I know.
Yeah, I stuck them in a pile. Oh, here it is. I stuck it in the middle. Just want to write this.
It's still another kick in the ass, and you're looking at what's the rear point left, and then just what, roll around. I don't think that was how it's right in this community. Don't get everything all.
I will get up. Okay, I'll get you the list. I'll tell you what.
And I believe that was a chin drop, you know?
And then there's also on the portal, if you click on the portal, you guys can see delinquencies on it as well. So, but I'll give you the number.
Here, okay, this is not part of the sign-in.
Okay.
I know that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just have to go through, because I keep, yeah, this stuff.
What would you like me to put?
You can just put them on top, because I'm gonna have to go through, because people are signing in and handing proxies, so we might.
Yeah.
I just saw it somewhere.
I'm just checking. to make sure we're all-
You're fine, yeah, no, I'm gonna go through it all real fast.
It's right here, Ron.
Yeah, I thought it was like they're upstairs, may be installed or replaced, but not affixed to any structure, any portion of the property. See, and you can't put your basketball where they're gonna plan the street. Like you can't put it in the street and then play it in the street. It has to be in the driveway. That's pretty good, because I was worried that if they passed the basketball and they park in the street, you know? Well, they said you can't, yeah, they can't play with it in the street, but in the driveway.
Thank you. Has that everyone signed in? No, that one's mine. I was gonna pass around with my other one. I had another white one. Or pass around with that. Here it is. There you go. How you doing?
So do you have a proxy?
Yep. They're right there on that table if you want to grab one. Or I have some here too.
No, so I've gotten from like others, do I give them?
Yeah, if you have them, yes, please.
Hold them, or do I?
No, you pass them in. Yep.
That's
You have them with you?
Yep.
Okay, yep, perfect. So we have that number. We at least have opened the meeting up.
Is this by?
The last name.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Like,
keep going. There's,
Just
Oh.
pages.
That's because of numbers. I'm like, wait a minute, those aren't letters.
I'm so sorry. I didn't. Thanks. 41.
Is that most corporations? We ever have success.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
That's in your packet. I don't know. I was like, I need to see where we're at with that. Thank you.
boxes that Dawn had given about.
And they're all in its office.
Okay.
I can work.
I didn't know if you could get in there, but I haven't received them.
I won't see Brett roll off.
You know the safe company?
Well, that hasn't been determined yet.
Right.
They have to figure that out.
The main road is covered by the
The county keeps changing its mind.
so that's still not true. Yeah, the county boulevard is still covered by the county. They'll only pay back their costs in 50 years when they decide to do it. Yeah. But
But that's, I mean. No, but it should, it allows us to talk to your first part of the life. You can basically do whatever you want. We can take it. If you go to
the boulevard. And it's usually people that live there. So then I see them
I specifically set my I set my cruise control.
Oh, there you are.
Flying passenger.
I have no idea. I only know like barely are. Oh yeah. The big one. That's the real big road. It's like two in one.
Yeah. The one where the sign is like that.
Yeah, what year was that?
People did, I have no clue, I still figure that out.
Well, they got cut off. I mean, that's probably been done. That's the blue road.
Yeah.
3 legs in the blue road.
Yeah, so now we're going to the big March and make it back to how it was. But I guess like the conflicts between our normal meetings and what and how people, they just want to like catch it up. So like a whole thing on Tuesday about the did not fill it out.
I didn't, because you said we could just sign in.
Yep. Yeah, but it matters. They must. I think people did it. I'm gonna do one last count and then we'll call it out the meeting.
Yeah, but it should be like 438.
Well, that's the part, the vote.
Finally, I felt like I came out.
Were you in the party or what?
And I was here to defend it with a hammer,
Oh, yeah, it's up there. It's on the board. No, I feel like that's in the, like, I'll get one for like,
Oh, no, we're good. No, 'cause I have to get back, so that's perfect.
the entire neighborhood. You know?
Whenever you like, we'll call to order. We still have a quorum, that gives us 67, and, but not enough for the vote, but you can call to order and then. Yeah. Well, you're vice president.
Yes.
All right, so you get the call to order.
So at this point, can I get everybody's attention, please? At this point, excuse me,
We're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order, please.
excuse me. At this point, with proxies and who's in the room, we have enough to call the meeting to order. So I'd like to make a motion to call the meeting to order.
We do have quorum. There's currently 67 by person or proxy. So we do have quorum to open the meeting and discuss it. As far as votes, we need 438. We do not have those at this time. So at this time, for the amendment of the declarations and the bylaws that are in here, it would be, we could go ahead and discuss that and then take a vote whether you want to continue or not. Does anyone have any questions about the amendments?
Anybody have a question about what's happening?
Continue or not, what does that mean?
You could continue, the proxies are good for 90 days. We can continue the meeting for another 90 days. Or take a vote to not continue the meeting. And then it would just, the vote would be completely killed.
And once 90 days are up, can you do that again, or
No.
is that just a one-time?
One time.
Do we know how many ownerships or renters?
I believe I got that, do you remember that? I think it was
116,
116
plus or
before.
minus 5 or 10.
Okay.
That's everything.
So those rental companies are considered as part of the voting capacity?
Correct.
How do you guys even know if something's a rental? I mean, I got 5 rentals next door to me, but none of them are registered as rentals, they're just rented.
Right, no, we don't know an exact number. We go off of, obviously, if it's an investment property, it's a rental, and then alternate addresses. Normally, if you have an alternate address, we can assume that have a rental property if your mail's not going to the house. So it's not definite, but.
She does get notified by the county when a home sells. So if that home is sold under a LLC of whatever, then she gets notified of that, so that the assumption there is, like, if you see one in IH Parkway, that's one of the most popular, right?
Sure.
So you would automatically know that that's a real property.
And then the proxies that we do have now for those, will we be able to add to them within the 90 days, or we have to start over?
No, the proxies are good for 90 days, so you can continue. If you do a continuation, you can add to these,
Okay,
so.
and how many are there right now?
Well, there's 67 by person or proxy, so.
Yeah. And the thing about the proxies too, if a person's gonna be here and they weren't able to make this meeting, so they gave a proxy, and they come to the next meeting, that proxy can be revoked, and they can vote in person, or they can actually assign a new proxy to a different person, if they choose, and then it invalidates the first proxy, if I'm correct.
Right, or they can come in, if you ever want to take your proxy, there's a substitution at the bottom, so you can substitute if you have, so you can assign your proxy to somebody, where it says here, boy appoints mine, you can appoint somebody, and if that person couldn't make it, you could substitute your proxy. But if you sent in your proxy and voted, you don't have to worry about that, that counts as your own vote. If you turn this in tonight, you are counted for the next meeting if the continuation does occur, so you are still good for that.
Do you guys intend to resend that out to the members of the community?
We would have to send out a continuation notice, and we can send out the proxies, but obviously, we would make adjustments with the time and date, so we would just say the meeting's continued, it wouldn't be a first meeting. And we would note that down, because the proxies are good for 90 days, so we don't want anyone to think it's good for 90 days from the date of this meeting, or, from the date of the next continuation meeting. It's only good 90 days from this date.
Can we take copies of it and try to get our neighbors to fill them out?
Of course.
She has a whole bunch, yeah.
Yeah, I think
But that-
if we could figure out who's in which neighborhoods, we could probably push that in.
Can you use this one?
Yes, so you would have to use that one, and we have to put a caveat, because this is the original date of the meeting. So if I were to switch the date on there, it would be 90 days from that meeting. So this would be one that you would use with a continuation, we would put a cover letter on there,
So
on the new date
what I'm
time.
trying to ask is, if we have these proxies right now and go out and get them,
They're good.
They're good.
that's all we need.
Correct.
Okay.
So, if we choose to do a continuation, then we want to make that meeting date tonight. So, before we obviously put it over the memberships, if they don't have any questions, does the board have anything they want to say about continuing or not continuing?
So here.
Can we make this into like a electronic form?
Or how about can we post just the form?
Just the blank
on
form that they
HOA?
can print out and
Print it,
write.
put it out.
Yes.
Basically like a static PDF. Is
Right.
that what you're at? Like basically something you can print out on your own. And-
Right.
and-
To put out on the community, it seems like there's a lot of talk about the community, but then they don't show, right? So if you give this to them and then say, what you're saying, divide up or whatever, you can go and say, hey, on this next Thursday, we're gonna walk around and start collecting or whatever. That you would be able to at least give them time to do it and then also follow up with it. I mean, like the HOA meeting, we see that it's like, hey, HOA meeting tonight, but people plan a little bit ahead of that. So maybe a week before, hey, 5 days left, 4 days left. It's almost like countdown to Christmas, you know what I mean? It's like, you gotta get excited.
When were these mailed out, Ryan?
October.
In October to January is.
Yeah, I can need to find it.
That's usually what we got when we asked all the neighbors, and they're like, I threw that away.
October 27th. So we try to get it out ahead of time to give enough time for people to take in the proxies. The original thought was if we mail it out, we can collect and hopefully have it by this meeting. And then if we need to continue. But the earliest that we could get it out, we tried to do so, to start collecting the votes. Because a meeting notice has to go. I mean, legally, the shortest amount of time is 14 days. We didn't want to do that at all. While it would have been fresh in your minds, it wouldn't have given people enough time to read through, ask any questions, go through that.
So I want to kind of, the board members here kind of have another piece of information we want to also let you know is when we're doing these amendments and changes, right? We can do it as many times as we want, but every time we do it, it costs money and it's not cheap, right? We have this opportunity now to actually look over everything and make other additional changes, additions, and edits as necessary and present it so it's more encompassing, more opportunity for where we are at in our environment in terms of the community. If we just strictly go off of what's in here now, I think there's the two with the basketball court, 3, yeah. That's all we're asking, that's all that's being asked of right now is these 3 changes, right? So if we kill this now, per se, if we say, hey, we're not gonna do it, we can now open this opportunity up to go through the whole articles, the bylaws, excuse me, and look and see if there's any other opportunities to help improve what we see might need to be improved upon, and maybe even move things that, hey, this is archaic, it doesn't belong here anymore. And by doing that, and we do everything all together, now we're incurring one fee as a community. I mean, otherwise, every time we go back to have this done, it's another fee, it's another fee, another fee, another vote, another meeting. So we have that opportunity. So when you make this choice tonight, if you want to postpone this for another 90 days and get some more proxies here to address these three concerns, or would you prefer maybe to have this board go through the review process of the complete and say, hey, these are all the changes and edits we feel might need to be made, and then have another opportunity later on to come back together as a community and vote on it.
I think it's a great idea that you're saying, but I think that we need a little bit more information to have that. If you're saying that you're gonna go through the process of going through the documents, what does that look like? Is it a half a year? Is it 3/4? Is it next month? And I understand everyone has jobs and all volunteers, so that's where it's kind of hard to understand. Are we looking to get these changed so that next year, or when the voting comes for the nominees, it's not day of, hey, here's John Doe, and you have to make a decision on John Doe?
Right. And that's a good question. The thing is, we don't want to make any knee-jerk reactions in terms of, okay, we're going to hurry and get this through because we don't want to miss something important or add something that maybe, hey, wow, we really messed this up, right? So in terms of time, it's really hard to answer how long it would be for us to get together. And plus, understand by rules, if three of us are gathered, we got to be careful because that then could be technically called a meeting. And then if we didn't make the 24-hour notice, 48-hour notice that, hey, three of us are going to get together and talk, we're in violation. So we would have to figure out a time that it would be understood by community get together to actually go through this. They're welcome to sit and sit in, but it's not a motion where you guys can sit there, hey, we want to make these changes too. It'd just be basically an observation of what would we do.
I do agree that we have to give an expectation. I mean,
Right.
we can't just, I mean, a lot of these are great amendments, and one of them especially are in regards to the voting. I mean, that is one big one that we don't want to just wait, like they said, a year. So I think if you're asking them to say, hey, trust us to do this for you, to set the expectation of when they can expect
And we
it to be
can
done.
certainly absolutely do that. We can set that guideline, but how much time do we feel like it takes?
I'm just saying that.
I think given the circumstances, I think realistically, board meeting. So I think setting the precedence and hearing what you all have to say, I think giving us the first meeting in June would be probable for everyone to just really sit down and as a team collectively go through it. See, and whatever we have by that time, it's checkmate. We gotta put it in. And whatever's done is done, and leave whatever is left for the next board.
To elaborate on that just a little, one of the, and it's one of the no short-term rentals, the wording of that is attempting to, in a way, supersede a state law, which we can't do. It's in regard to the sexual predator section of that. There's ways to go around that, and the way that it is worded currently could potentially supersede state law, so that would actually have to be rewritten anyway. There are others in there. The declarations haven't been amended since 2011. That one amendment was section 10.21 specifically in regard to parking, which I'm going to bring up later to elaborate in some of that section anyway. Everything else has not been read, modified, adjusted, or changed since 2005. There's a lot of legislative updates that have changed. So it's a good time to go through the entire thing and get everything up to par with current state legislature and not open ourselves up to issues and problems. So kind of what Stephen said a while ago, if we take from now to June and say, hey, at the June meeting, whatever day that is in June, now we're pushing that back out there and we do the same thing that we're doing right now. We're not just changing 1, 2, 3, 4 things. We have the potential to put every piece of the declaration out there, every section, and say, this needs to be reworded for state. This needs to be reworded because it benefits the community. This needs to be reworded because it's going to be beneficial for both reasons. As an example, it's just something that just has not been done in almost 20 years.
But Glenn, to that point, I mean, if you look at June, so that means we would vote in July. You would present at the June meeting.
Correct.
We would vote in July. What happens if we don't have enough votes and we extend it for 90 days? Now we're getting into the elections of the board again. So I think that timeline is a little tight because that could potentially impact the voting, which I think is probably top priority for most of the residents.
I agree with that 1,000 bazillion %. to rebuttal that specifically, if you have an army that is getting behind the changes, and that's not just us as the board, that's everybody in the community, there's effectively 65 people here tonight, if 6 of those people, everybody took, and you had made the point earlier, and I apologize, I don't know your name. She had made the point earlier of, let's go talk to people, let's go bang on doors, let's, hey, can you sign this? This is what it is, this is what it's about, this is what we want to do. That process wasn't done this time. There wasn't enough people in the community that, whatever word you want to use, that got behind it to push it through. To have the people here, to get the signatures, to do the legwork. Give us that opportunity to put the army together. You guys have seen, and I hate being the person that does this crap, because I'm not here for me. I'm here for the 664 homes and the 1,300 people, and these are just the adults that live in this community. Let's make it better. Let's take the opportunity to make it better, and let's put everybody together.
I would urge the board too, because I just did this in a community that never got the votes. We even walked around and put door hangers on people's door and said, fill it out and we'll come back, and still didn't get it for 51, and it's only 300 in that community. But we did pass a rental restriction, and if it's something, and I'm just urge the board to take a look into it, if it's something that you're gonna be rewriting several amendments and it's going to delay time till June, possibly doing electronic voting. I know that from my experience, a lot of trust has been broken with proxies and so forth. So being able to be be emailed, you can just fill it out right there. It's electronically done, it's signed. In the meantime, from now to June, we would just have to be passing out paperwork that we can mail out asking for your allowance to do electronic voting once you send that in. But I did do it. It's a quick, once it's ready to go live, it emails you, you have it all there, you check it out, click it, and it sends it right back. So if there's gonna be multiple, I would urge doing that, because mailing it in with stamps or people going around, I know that's just been kind of, I would say it doesn't have the best reputation in this neighborhood about going around with proxies.
Yes.
So that might be the best way, because then you get to vote, it's secure, it's turned in, and nobody else touches it or sees it.
And I know that, some renters out there that obviously neighbors have exceptions with, but they're not all the renters, right? And that's an opportunity for those neighbors who are homeowners to talk to their neighbors who are renters and have those conversations. Hey, you know, you're probably email to vote for this, have them check it out and let them know what you as a renter want. And so those renters who are, I hate to say it this way, the ones that are like-minded, and wanting to make the community better and sustainable.
Well, remember, they don't have voting rights.
But their property managers do. So that's what I was saying, is the neighbors who are homeowners look out the renters, to have them talk to their property managers to be on the lookout. To let them know as a renter, this is how we would like this community, you to vote in this community. So that kind of helps put the pressure on them to be good neighbors.
So Joanna, you're saying that it's just up to the board to make the decision to allow electronic voting? That's not anything that has to be voted on?
Well, there's a cost with it. It's not a free service. So the cost of it being voted on, the setup and so forth. So if the cost is approved, then that's something, that's why I urge to take a look at that. If you are with that attorney service, it's 700, I think it was. And then and it's in the packet. And if you are not using that attorney, which that's one that we do. That's for a polycop, which they're great attorneys in here. But if you don't use it, I think it's 1,200 a year. But it includes surveys and everything. No.
Okay, that's.
No, I don't think they were talking about it.
Here, a single vote is $750 per vote. If it's unlimited voting for a year, it's $1,000.
Right, and then if you're flying, it drops.
So max would be that, max.
Can you say that again?
So, okay. So,
This is a new board.
mind you that if we're clients of this particular attorney, the prices are lower. But not being non-client, clients of this attorney, if we wanted everybody in here to have one vote, there would be a one-time cost of $750. All right. If we wanted everybody to have unlimited voting for that particular year, it's $1,080. So whatever
Amendment changes,
came up, it would be we wouldn't have to keep paying them $150 for every vote.
What is the cost to mail all of these things out? I mean, from a comparison standpoint, how does that compare with sending?
73 cents times 64.
Well, could we also go to notifications
So
for
about
like
a little-
violations that are electronic versus mail?
Yeah.
You can already get it, if you go in your online portal, you can click to have it
Yeah,
all.
but saving all of those postage fees
No, I'm in
versus.
favor.
It has to be, yes, but the homeowner has to agree to be electronic.
Don, sir?
Joanna, I just wanted to, some people kind of compare costs between mailing and electronic voting, they're not mutually exclusive. Even if you do the electronic voting, you still have to do the mailing to notify them that the voting is available.
Right, yes, we would still have to do a mailing to say, hey, if you'd like to do electronic voting and so forth. Because we would have to go in the system and upload that you have agreed to it, we have to have the backup. So if you did get electronically, you can't sit here and say, I didn't want it electronically, because you assigned the papers. We have to have signatures and so forth.
And the notice itself would have to be there.
The notice has to be mailed versus email. It has to be mailed in the mail.
No, I think with their system, they can do it email. From what I understand from the attorney, when talking to the attorney, that this, and the way we did it, they can email out the notice
Once you've opted in.
once you've opted into it.
Okay.
So there would be a one-time mailing to opt in,
Okay.
wet signature, and then after that, if you've opted into all electronic, then you as a homeowner or individually would be all electronic.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Don?
So you would mail the people who don't opt in?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's $350 for a single vote if you're a client and $700 for unlimited voting if you're a client. And I know we've talked
Does that
about.
still include, does that include as a client, do they waive that 325 setup fee? As a non-client, there's a.
That's an optional. That's available, but we do all the setup.
Okay, so then there is that. Okay.
Right, yeah, there's no extra setup. Yeah, yes, it's setup and support fee available at your house, but we don't do
If we
that.
become a client of this attorney, or the price on this is cut in half. Okay. Did everybody catch that?
No.
So as non-clients of this particular attorney to set up the electronic, if we do it one time, or, one time vote for everybody, or whatever it is, it's $750. If we set everybody up for unlimited, so any time a vote is required, they can go on and write, it's $1,080. However, if we become a client of this attorney, and that we're in the process, and I think this is something we're gonna address later, is looking around for different, attorneys. If we chose this particular attorney, that price almost was cut in half. So, what was it, you said 325 for a single vote?
350 and 700.
350 and 700 for unlimited.
Yeah.
So, last year we looked at our budget, that crazy meeting or whatever, and it was like, whoa, we are paying way too much in postage, we're gonna reduce that. So, if we were to go to this, is it that far off of what we've allocated for in our mailing budget line?
It
or-
depends on how many people sign up. So if you have a community that a lot of people are willing to sign up, then technically for the meetings, and then if you had the elevated meetings, you could actually do the annual meeting electronically too. That obviously debates on whether you get the nomination from the floor and so forth, but, if you were to do that, then you could do that and save on all those mailings.
Right.
But it depends, if you only have 20 people that sign up for it, then no, it's not
Right.
worth it, you wasted money.
Right.
But if you have half the community or more that sign up, yes, that would take down a lot of the budget.
If we postpone the items that are on here today, are we guaranteed that those 3 items are going to be in the final list approved for the revote? And second question, people who have basketball hoops, some of them have them up, some of them have them in their garage. Can we make a decision that we're not gonna get notices if we put them out and have everybody be the same across the board? Or should we all shove them in our garages like mine is right now?
So I'll answer the first part.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have a basketball hoop in my driveway, and this is where I think common sense comes into play. Keep it up against your garage door. Should by fault it falls, it's not gonna fall on a pedestrian walking their
Oh,
dog.
no, I got a notice just for having it up.
No, I think within, me too.
When was your notice?
Right after I got it, because I got it in March, and I got it within.
This was last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
And then I put it back up, and then I got another notice in probably June or July of last year, so I put it back in my garage, because I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that's where
keep
mine
it.
is, but yet all my neighbors have it out.
Here's, to answer your first part, then we'll get to the second part. The first part is, this group here, the 67 here represented, says, no, we wanna go ahead and vote to sustain this for 90 days, I think it is. and in 90 days, this comes back up a vote, and we still don't got enough, it is dead, we can't bring this back up, all right? If we say, hey, let's kill this now, then that opens it back up to include these in the next edition of edits that we can propose again, right? So that's, and I don't want to influence you one way or another, I have my opinion, right? But I just want to give you what the facts are. So if this group says, no, this is great, this is what we want, that's the only change we made, let's vote we take another vote in 90 days, well, God, that's what we'll do, because that's the voices have spoken. As far as the basketball, I think as a committee, we have the option to sit there and tell our property management people, hey, if we're gonna be a little like we did with the grass, like we did with the grass during the water restrictions, said, hey, lighten up on the restrictions on the grass and brown spots because we're in a drought, we're in a water restriction, right? So I believe we have the opportunity as a board to sit there and tell our property management, hey, if you drive by and you see it's in a safe location up against the garage and it's not in danger of hurting anybody, let's relax on those until we have a chance to make the additions.
Can you elaborate a little bit? Because I just want to ask a question in regards to the basketball hoops. Now, the basketball hoops was allowed during the pandemic,
Right.
and then all of a sudden started this notion of people getting violations. And I as a homeowner and someone who has a basketball hoop and a basketball player, I want to know what made that such a target to start picking on to give violations, because let's be honest, a handful of kids use this in the neighborhood, so I didn't know if it's the basketball hoops in the street, someone got hurt.
So
I just didn't know the clarity.
unfortunately, I can't address what the previous
Can I answer that?
rationales were for that. Yeah.
Can I answer that for you? It was because the pandemic was declared over, and that rule was in place, so the board was required to go back to what was in.
Your declaration says that you're not allowed to have them stored outside, that when it's at night or not in use, they're mostly brought inside. During the pandemic, the board at that time said, hey, there's a bunch of kids at home and they need to do something, and parents bring them in and out, let them play, they need to get some fresh air, they're not in school. After that pandemic was over, obviously a lot of people had seen them in every Christmas, a lot more pop up, and I understand. But a lot more popped up. A lot of kids were playing in the roadway. We did have a lot of complaints about kids playing in the roadway. And people were leaving about, even like during hurricanes, people weren't putting them up or laying them down if something were to fall and so forth. So it went back to, this is in the declaration, we should follow it. And just like anything else in the declaration, if homeowners don't like it, then we need to amend it. And it was actually brought up as an amendment from a homeowner that came in when we were discussing proposed amendments and said, hey, can I change this? I really want to leave it out. So that's why it went on the ballot.
The issue as a community member at the time was the community wasn't properly notified that change was happening.
They
And
were.
that's-
A letter went out, didn't it? A letter went out saying pandemic is over.
We put out some notice of it.
Yeah.
There was not a certified or written notice that.
No, I think we put it out like an email notice, I want to say, but
We've already proven less than 20% people open their emails. I mean, as a show of hands, in 2020, technically 2023, as a homeowner, did you receive a letter or an email saying that that was changing? Three.
I think I'm just trying to get to the point that if it wasn't a pandemic, it was open for children, and we know children use these things. Now we're just trying to take it back because the pandemic benefit is that it's in there. So unless the kid's been hurt, but realistically speaking, it is impossible to move a basketball hoop inside and outside every night consistently because it's heavy and that's how people can get hurt, and it's weighted. So I understand it's on the amendment now, but I mean, a realistic expectation is kids are using these things. So if I get kids playing in the street, but I mean, realistically speaking, it sends a bad message to the community when you have kids playing at home in sport and activity, and now we're talking about taking away just because of the bylaws or something like that. So,
and I agree with you 100% on that. The problem is that, for instance, if you write me a letter about my signage, I'm going to say, well, you're not enforcing everything in the declaration. Why are you enforcing my sign?
Right.
And it is something that you can, I have had boards and I've had attorney opinions that say one is not related to the other if you choose to kind of ignore this one. But you're going to have people that do that, unfortunately. And I think it's each their own. I don't mind basketball hoops and that they've never bothered me. I have one for my kids, but it's one of those that I would just change the declaration just to be safe around it, and that's the urgency.
I just want a little bit of historical.
And we also, on the board, said, stop sending out notices about it last year.
Yeah,
When this came up, I know, but I'm saying, when it came up and the gentleman came in, that was that's what happened.
Got it.
And he came in, I think that was like early in the year, I wanna say, like April or something. I can go back and look
I
at the
think
meeting.
it was like July or August that was not
Is
saying
it?
while we were
Okay.
putting it on the ballot
So,
waiting.
and we said, stop sending notes out for it. We're doing what they did. We just said, but we're going to put the amendment in to cover us.
So we can bring it back out.
The only time we wrote them up past that is if they were in the streets.
Yes.
They were in the streets. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement, they should have been in the streets.
So that was kind of that.
Yeah, the new verbiage says it can't be in the street, they
Yeah.
can't play in the street.
Right.
Okay, I think it's safe to say we're gonna ask the management team to, just like the grass, until we come out of this winter and all the things, let's lay off the grass, as long as the whole thing's not brown, as long as your basketball hoop is within reason of the garage and not in danger of falling on the sidewalk, I think that it's safe to say to lay off any notices out to the community.
And I don't think she's been sending them out
No,
since
just
last
to
year.
say it out there,
Yeah.
to say it all in front of you who are paying attention, you will not receive a notice about a basketball hoop. Ma'am, I would suggest you take your basketball hoop out, I will shoot some hoops myself in front of you, take a picture if you like, and we will call it a day until we actually take it to a vote and make sure everybody's happy with our decision.
I
Sound
agree.
fair?
So I feel like
That is a motion!
Confirm that motion before
All right.
okay, so we'll make it a motion.
So you can tell your son to go back.
Will do.
He will hear nothing.
So that's.
So now it would just be up to, we won't write it, but now it would just be up to, do you want to, and this would be kind of a vote or whether to continue or kill the vote? And I don't know if you want to take show of hands for it.
Could you
Show of
talk-
hands,
wait,
kill
can
the
I-
vote.
Before anybody have any other questions
I do.
about this?
Yeah, can I,
So one of you said earlier that the verbiage in the part about the rentals may not actually match up with the state laws. Would that negate that, and would that negate all three of those, pieces on the ballot, if that turns out to not be in line with the law?
The law supersedes your declaration, chapter 720, so you have things currently, chapter 720 changes every July, new legislation gets put in place. So no matter what, that is the rule, and normally in chapter 720, if there's anything that goes back to your declaration, it will say unless your declaration or bylaws say different. So unless it says that, it supersedes. There's one that's going to the House floor, Bill 139, I believe it is, and some people are trying to get passed. It's something that we should, if we're gonna send it, something, putting that out, they propose legislation to take 15% of the income that associations collect and use it for the county, so it'd be like a county tax, essentially. So that's something, so that could change, even if it's not in your declaration to do, we have to do that. So I always say, yes, you can. No, yes, you can always, I just always recommend, like, if you're gonna update it, I get updating it. Don't necessarily update it with chapter 720, because that changes every year. And if you're trying to do updates with the legislation, that goes everywhere.
Kate, what's next? Sorry. Yeah.
my question was, you said that if we do a 90-day continuance, I just want to make sure I understand what you said, that these three items can never come up again for a vote?
As they're written.
As they're written, but they can be, so what we're saying is if we postpone, I mean, if we kill it, you'll rewrite them however you want them, but if we continue and it fails, they would just have to be rewritten
In different vernacular.
in a different vernacular, so it's not like they're dead
Right, yeah, what I'm
forever.
saying, these
Yes.
as written.
So I just
are-
want to clarify that because you said we can never bring them up
Okay, My
again.
apologies, yes.
Yeah.
As they're written
As
now,
they're
we
written.
can never re-vote on this
Yes,
vernacular.
I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we were clear on
Right.
what you meant.
And I don't know what percent of the verbiage hasn't changed for it to have to be considered a new proposal. We'll have to- I don't know.
Well, you can put it out, just the proxies aren't good anymore. So putting it back out would be a problem. So all that is reflected, you can start all over.
So, Don has one more question.
I had a comment for Joanna, when she said that when state statutes change and they affect the documents, that actually relies on the Kaufman language, which our documents currently lack. So not every state law necessarily changes how our association operates. Anything that changes an owner's right would not be effective, but anything that changes like a substance thing or a process thing would still be effective. So it's a little more complicated than that. So when the board looks at making future changes, they may want to record the as amended from time to time. And without getting into overly complex legal discussion, our documents just say the Florida statutes at the time this was recorded in 2005. So the amendments to the Florida statutes don't necessarily affect our governing documents.
When we were missing the quote as amended from time to time.
Right.
Right.
You should include that in any future changes. But, so that's just to say that not every statute necessarily is effective against.
And that would be one of the instances where if we were to go back through and look at, we could now add that in to put that into the next vote, say, and this reason this is added is to protect us later down when those things do change from time to time. So again,
Is there any downside with doing the vote tonight if it
we
doesn't pass?
we don't have
I'm sorry,
enough.
I apologize, in continuing, because if we don't have enough votes in 90 days, can't you all just change those amendments a little bit, put them in your June amendments, and then we redo it? I'm not seeing the
There'd be
downside.
an additional cost, is what they're saying.
No, that wouldn't be a cost, that would just be our time. But the opportunity cost that would be there would be the time. You know, many people here said they don't want to wait 3 months, 6 months, a year for all this to take. If we wait till 90 days and do this again, and it's no, then we have to go back again and rewrite it, and then send out notification, and then send out, opportunities for people to vote on it. And then if it continues to, that time element starts creeping in, so before you know it, it's November, you guys go to another board, and they want to do the whole process over again.
Yep.
Steve, you can actually have your cake eaten too. You could continue this meeting to a future meeting date and time while you still in the background work on those. Knowing that it's going to fail, you can still make those amendments come up.
Right, but we gotta be careful, because again, if 3 of us together try to get together to discuss this, we have to announce that, hey, we're getting together to discuss this.
Yeah, I get that.
48 hours in advance.
But I don't think it costs anything to continue the meeting.
No.
I don't think the continuation meeting has to be noticed with a actual mailing.
No, as long as it's posted, it doesn't.
Right.
That gives you time to collect things, so that's almost free.
Can I ask this gentleman a question, sir? Hi, my name's Shane. You seem very logical and you know a lot about the law. May I ask this question in presence to the board? Are you guys allowed to talk to one another about board policy during a non-meeting?
As long as there's not 3 of us collectively together.
Not all.
If I had a question.
What way can they overcome that, other than postponing or rescheduling the meeting?
Put it out a 48-hour notice
To do that.
before they get
They
there.
can have a committee meeting, I mean, they still have, the 48-hour notice is not written, but they can put aside, they need to clubhouse and talk about this. It's not, it would be a committee meeting, not a board meeting.
It's called closed meetings. Boards can have closed meetings where I particularly would never want that, but
Be related to litigation or
Yeah.
personnel.
But in terms of that, board members have to be careful, because if we were on the sidewalk after this meeting, and we're still carrying over this conversation, and somebody overheard that or saw that, even if we were talking about, hey, did you catch the game last night, it could be perceived, and perception is reality. So we want to try to do everything within the guidelines we need to operate in. And for those who weren't here last meeting, I'm going to be very transparent. I am 100% in agreement with you, sir. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Cass.
And I agree with you 100% about the basketball hoop. But I also represent, as a board member, other people in the community who have safety concerns about those. Right? So I have to also address those concerns with your concerns and see where that middle ground can be. Right? Because I was very upfront last meeting about how I felt. And I needed to listen to how other people felt differently. And I've taken that time to reflect on it and say, okay, yeah, I have to position myself. I would, if as a homeowner, I am with you. I feel those kids need to be outside, they need to be out there playing, something like that. But I represent more than myself here. And I represent you, I represent them. So I have opinions, personal opinions as a homeowner, but as a board member, I have to try to find that middle ground to where we can never please everybody. But we can try to please most of everybody.
And I just need some historical knowledge because it just kind of like popped up in my rear view of just, okay, this is going on. So thank you for giving me the history and also your decision.
If you guys get meet about the bylaws by 3 or more without it being a meeting, are you going to schedule time to work through the bylaws as a group and invite the community
They
to
have
work
to.
through these bylaws at the same time with you, or is it gonna be just the
I
board
like-
doing that?
I like that.
Yeah.
So as the board, we can quote unquote instill a committee to
Because I
Exactly
mean,
kind of
I
what
look at
you're saying.
contracts, I mean, we usually do working sessions, or something large that you're trying to put into your formats of things. So it would make sense if you included more than just the board to work through all the bylaws and talk them through, especially, you know, people who have law backgrounds. But it just seems like if you guys can't do it alone without declaring a meeting, maybe we should start scheduling things to work through this before we get to that June date. Because if we get to June and we're only discussing it then we don't really have time to
Same
move forward.
notification policy applies, like even the art committee as an example, if the art committee meets as a committee, where they're discussing a guideline change, a paint palette modification, then that has to be noticed 48 hours before it's the same as our board meetings do.
Okay.
So the same thing would apply, but I like that, I love it.
But they wouldn't be really board meetings because you guys aren't meeting as a board again
Well,
until
they're-
June.
No,
It's
they're committee
right.
meetings.
Yeah, we would have to have something, like, it would have to be like the bylaw rewriting committee or something, but it seems like it has to happen soon.
Yeah, I agree, and so, a committee, and I think we all like that idea, is then who? You know, and then how many?
Some, do you know anybody?
Three to five.
I probably volunteer for it, my problem is that most of the time I'm still working at this time. I was
Well,
like,
it don't, your committee meetings don't have to be at this time. You as a
They could be on
committee, you,
weekends, they could be anytime, they could be
Right.
clubhouse.
Right.
They
yeah,
could be here.
you, so as a.
Yeah, I would definitely, I could volunteer as being part of.
How do we create a committee? Why not, or why not create a committee? And then, when that's approved, then you want to make a motion, appoint volunteers, who are the committee, that gets voted on, agreed upon.
Yeah, I'll email you tonight.
Is there anybody here present tonight that would like to be part of this committee? Got two?
Oh, yeah, I said.
Okay, anybody else?
Oh, what?
Raise your hands up.
Hold on. Okay, understand, this isn't a regular board meeting.
Oh,
This is a meeting to discuss the proposed changes to the bylaws, all right?
Right, to work through the.
So in a regular scheduled board meeting,
After
right,
this one,
after this one, then we can make a motion,
create the committee,
create the committee,
those people.
right? But in this particular meeting, that's not what this is for, in our regular scheduled board meeting, which is
Not sure.
Eventually.
scheduled for after this meeting, then we can address that. So while we're still talking about this, if there's people here in the room that would like to be part of that committee, right? And would like to volunteer, yep.
Just put your name on the sign-up sheet with your email.
3 to 5 people would be a great place to start. And it looks like we already have one volunteer, so I guess we have,
There's everybody.
So- yeah. And then we would, if there's concerns that that committee come with that should address the board, you know, like, hey, we can't come to a consensus, or we're not here, can we add some guidelines like that? So that would be an opportunity to get this right for a committee for that.
Now, would be part of the board, be part of that committee, because it seems like board,
Yes, a board member can be part of the committee,
it
but
seems
not
like we also
all,
need
board-
board
not all the
guidance
board
as
members.
well. I don't think it should be a subcommittee that doesn't have board
You
guidance.
can have the board, and what I do is more label it as, you still have to put up a notice that they let more as a workshop, so you're not making any motions. Whatever you write is all just draft, and it still has to come before the board at a meeting to then be voted on. Minutes and so forth for it, it's just a workshop, you're not making any motions. Like that, and
Nothing's
it's
being
not
decided,
yours.
it's just, these are our recommended, what we think.
Recommendations.
Right, and then at that point, yeah,
Which we as the board ratify,
yeah.
based on the committee's recommendations. Which normally as a committee, and Jeff, you served on the art committee before, Heather, you're still on the art committee, I mean, you guys know how it works as far as workshops, you guys workshop for almost an entire year rewriting all the guidelines. So, you know, there's usually 1 or 2 liaisons from the board that are part of that conversation, part of that rewriting, and so forth, so. Just to be depending on, all of us wanted to be there, would be there, but there would have to be at least one person from the board as the liaison person to that said committee.
So if we get back on track, we have to
We gotta get
decide.
through where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to decide, we have a form here, if when we take a vote to decide to postpone this for 90 days, and come back again in 90 days, hopefully maybe you get enough, or if we want to kill it, create a committee to, really dive in and take a deep dive into this.
Don?
Don?
I was just gonna, you don't have to postpone it for 90 days. You could continue the meeting to your next HOA meeting. And that way, during that time, you could reconvene and just say, hey, this is how many proxies we have now. And you could postpone it till tomorrow, you could postpone it a week, you could postpone it any number of times. The proxies is good for 90 days.
Right, up until the proxies are
Until
invalid.
they expire.
Right, which is, and that's how we came up with 90 days.
If you were to have them reschedule the next special meeting for the next HOA meeting, you could at least collect the proxies and then say, this is what we have, we'll continue the meeting again. And you probably have enough votes as the secretary, based on the number of people here, and 47 extras, but the secretary himself can decide what to continue or kill.
Are you saying you wouldn't create the committee if we decide to continue tonight? Wouldn't you still need the
We would
committee to work through the whole declaration?
We still got to do it.
Okay,
We're still
okay,
gonna-
okay.
no,
The way you
no.
said it, it sounded like you were only gonna be the committee.
No, no,
But
no.
think about it this way, the proxies are only good for these three right now.
Right.
We go through and rewrite the whole bylaws, we still need to get all those people to sign again.
There's
And
approximately.
if it's already a problem to get them to sign the first time, it might be easier just to get them to sign once versus multiple.
Right.
That's the only downfall I see about continuing now and trying to get people to sign, is that you're gonna have to get them to sign more than once. If we do have changes to the bylaws again.
The easier way, and Joanna brought it up earlier, is make it go away, electronic voting, and allow everyone to opt in. Those that don't opt in will still vote by paper. During that time that all of that is going on, that is getting set up, the committee's in the background doing all the legwork to make the changes that we would like to see as a community. And put that into place, and by the time the electronic stuff is ready to go, then the declaration, and then, the minutes of the declarations will be ready to go. And that's gonna make everybody's job much simpler and a lot less legwork to have to go around and, please sign this piece of paper.
Can I have another suggestion though? Can we include at least one person from the LR committee as well, on the committee about the bylaws, because some of the bylaws directly relate to.
Well, we can't appoint people, people have to volunteer.
No, I'm just suggesting somebody from
Right.
that committee.
That would be, come on, that would be up to them.
I'm just saying that the bylaws include some on our committee.
We
so-
did that already, and the old board totally overdid all our stuff that we worked on for years, so I.
Can you give us
Yeah.
those notes?
Give me about 30 minutes of it.
Can you give us those notes?
I understand your suggestion, unfortunately, we can't force anybody to do
Right.
anything.
Well, if you give us the whole notes, we can try to get those changes. Okay.
I got it.
I just thought, they're correlated there.
So, okay.
Can I ask one question? It might be relevant or whatever, but I'm trying to make a correlation here. Do we know how many people have yet to pay their HOA dues for this year? The reason why I say that is because if you have a number of 360 or something like that, then how are we going to get people to sign this in the next 90 days if people aren't going to pay their bill? Supposed to be.
Unfortunately, you don't look at paying your dues like, it's,
I'm just asking a general number. Just a general.
Last year was 41, you said.
Yeah.
41.
41.
41 unpaid.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
so, yeah, so statistically speaking, it's for what we would need to do this, to prove this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the majority of those folks are logging into the portal and doing it electronically.
Right.
As far as the vote's concerned, that's everybody, right? Just like an annual meeting? To continue or not?
Yeah, for everybody in here.
Okay.
Unless everybody present.
Right. And then how many have multiple says? Votes?
It just means the people in the seats, regardless of how many people proxies.
Yeah.
I mean, if it gets close, I would vote for
And at that point, it's
two different votes then.
51%.
Because I don't think,
of who's here. So half of those, half plus one.
So,
and I can go through the proxies, kind of give you a roundabout.
I got a question for the room, not as much for the board, but are we all, is the room trying to get basketball courts, basketball hoops? Is that what the room is for? Or are you guys leaning against basketball hoops? I have no idea.
I'm for
For them? So I see like there's a few people that are for them, and I'm feeling like they're about to ask us to vote, so I was just curious.
No, we can't vote. All we can vote on is if we want to stay and vote in up to 90 days from now about these 3 things, or if we want to stop it now, reconvene in June with a new list of things to vote on.
Or possibly early.
That includes these, yes, in different words, not as they are written.
And other things about the proxy voters aren't in here.
Correct, yes.
Which were written by ministers also, so.
I'm just imagining my head those 60 people and we're about to decide.
I think we, but we voted.
I was worried that the people that are here, before they start communicating.
Okay, so how do we all feel? Are we postponing? Or are we gonna?
I say we stop it
We gotta take a vote, so.
and do it in
You need
June.
a motion to continue the vote, to continue the meeting to a future date.
Yeah, so is
I'll take it.
there Daniel,
Then
David,
you guys gotta scour and get votes.
David.
It's up to you guys, you gotta get the
Is there
votes.
David here tonight?
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Cardona?
Okay, so, is this your person? Oh, yeah, that's yours, okay, sorry, Jeff, sorry, I'm trying to see who I would have proxy votes. Jeff would have one,
I say,
Rob.
Mine's for mine and
Robin
for reading.
yeah, Robin Vincent has one.
Officially, no.
There's a lot more meetings.
Kaz Hodge here, okay, so
Your cat.
Okay.
there's 2 there.
Let's put a name to it.
Amanda Huffman,
Right there.
I'm thinking Amanda Huffman, sorry, my head, and then Glenn Roberts, you have 2,
Yeah.
Michael Bars.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 2 there. Glenn has another one. Billy. Okay, there's one there. Another one for Jeff. Yeah, so if you want to take the vote, I can kind of pencil it in who has the votes that are there. Just leave your hands raised. If you have proxies, we'll just call your name. Just leave your hands raised a little bit longer, please.
You didn't even fill out that proxy for them?
We're voting on whether or not we're stay or go. And then because we have 65, I don't think total votes, we need to see who can vote there. So like Billy's here, that's what we're talking about, so Billy can vote yes. You know what I mean? See what?
Well, you can fill it out, just turn it in. Yeah, because you're here.
You have the most in here.
Yeah, she has.
May I grab a blank proxy from them? Thank you so much.
You have the most in here.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's 2 pages.
Those 2 pages, thank you so much.
Only 3
Appreciate it.
Yes. Everything I can like, and push it like how to get
Okay, everybody, can I have a show of hands for everybody who wants to postpone this meeting for 90 days? Please raise them high.
Say one more time.
Raise your hand if you'd like to postpone for 90 days.
So that's a continuous,
Oh,
right?
that's a continuance.
That's a continuous.
That's a continuance. Show of hands who wants to kill it. Alright, so we're gonna kill it. No, set up the committee and then let them.
If you voted to kill it, can I just have your hand raised one time?
If you voted to kill it, please raise your hand one time for the official count.
There's a lot more than one. Oh, sorry.
It's a lot more than two.
Let me get that copy, please, that's why I just wanted to see.
Do you still need more hands up?
No, you're good.
Once you have the committee together, I know, like, I know. I would say,
So what you're wanting is, you just want to revote. In the process,
Excuse me, at this point, we're calling a special meeting about the change the bylaws, motion, we're creating a motion to close this meeting about the special bylaws, so we can get through the HOA board meeting.
Thank you.
So I made the motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So, all right.
Okay.
Now, we can proceed to a board meeting now. Motion, I second the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so at this point, we do have the agenda. I think the agenda. Yep.
It's the first one to be November 13th.
So call order, we do have approval of the meeting minutes.
Should be a certification for
Did somebody put the sign within 48 hours? Meeting minutes. Where's the correction?
Well, now we're gonna get into the good stuff.
I didn't see.
Maybe the one now. Like Tuesday, second was crazy. And listen, my whole time,
Say aye.
Alright, we got go right through this. Yep, so the first financials, December 31st, you currently have $20,050 in your operating. Your money market has $30,349
Guys, go over the budget.
22 cents. For the income and expense for the year, you've taken in a total of $106,735.01, and you've expensed, $91,016.21. So you did come with a surplus between what you actually spent and what your income is, but your income also included a retained revenue rollover of $12,164.62. So since you do have a difference in there, would you like me to put the retained revenue rollover back into the savings account? That's what we have been using to keep the dues down. And you see a motion for that?
I make a motion.
Can we use that for electronic voting?
So
but then your dues might go up next year. I know
basically,
everybody,
the gist of that is it's a savings account, just like we all have savings accounts. So what has previously been done in the last, I've been there for 5 years, if there's a surplus left over, that goes to that savings account. And then to not increase the dues a lot, gets moved out of there. There's also some state laws that guidelines, surplus of funds, you need to use your money to a certain extent, and so on and so forth, so that's how.
But could we use that for electronic voting? That's $1,000.
So you always have a, even this year in the budget, you have a retained revenue rollover, so we would just use it in this year and not take it out of next year, but if we need to use it at the end of this year to make a balanced budget, we'd roll it over. Because you do have savings in, so in order to create the balanced budget, what your income is has to be what your expenses are. You didn't expense enough for the income part, and that's why we have that. So you could still do it in the year of 2024 and still be okay.
So we have funding currently without increasing dues this year?
Correct.
That was my whole,
Yes.
where I was trying to.
Is there any other questions on this? Or,
There were obviously things that went over. The attorney legal fees ended up being $37,374.31 for 2023. Of that though, we have, received $18,262.54 in attorney reimbursement. So around the total, taking that away, roughly 20,000 was spent, and you had a 25,000 budget. So if you were to put those line items together, you were actually under budget there.
About 12,000.
How many, and I know it's gonna come up in a second, how many are with the attorney right now trying to receive funds back?
As far as receiving funds, not violations, just for delinquency part, I believe we only have about 3.
Okay. As far as violations that are in the attorney's hands that we're waiting on,
You had it around 2021. I think I sent, did you guys all get that form? It was a while ago that was sent over, but there was a collection status form. I know, forwarded over to Daniel. If you all
I
received
never
it.
seen it.
Okay, sorry, I sent it over to Daniel back around the holiday, so I'll send it over to you too, but I think we were around 21 or 22 that are still being worked out.
okay.
And these are all that's past the second violation notice that went to the attorney for collections. Okay.
Oh, for the violation.
Now, one thing I noticed is, on the gate where we go in there and see these, I see the documents for the first and second, but I don't have, I see where the documents are, but we don't have access to those documents, do we? To see what letters went out to them and what those letters say. Because when you go in the portal, you sit there and say, it shows, first violation is gives you the document name, but there's no hyperlink there to click on it to view that document.
Okay, we'll upload those in there, and those are the ones that were sent to you in your packet.
Yeah.
I know Daniel says here, but yeah, that's the one that you'll see
Yeah, I see
here
that,
and get
right.
weighted. So we'll just upload these after every inspection to put this on the board meeting sites too, so you
Yeah, and the reason why I was asking is because when I was looking through some of that and grass, weeds and grass, and they're from October, after we are in January, are those, did the second notice go out and then it could be corrected, but never just entered in the system or addressed by the homeowner back to the company, talking about, hey, I've taken care of this, which is on the homeowner for not responding back. But it'd be good to see, where they're at and what they've done since then.
Sure, that's not a problem. We'll add this on there, and if there's holds by any reason, the homeowner contacting us or put on it, you'll see that on there
Yeah,
too.
I've seen that, I've seen that on there, so,
There's quite a few that are in second status.
yeah.
Yeah, and we'll mark it, I'll have them all highlighted for the attorney ones as well, and then I'll put the attorney collection, report. the
Yeah, 'cause
status.
we can get a higher-
I'm sorry, I sent it over to Daniel, I thought that,
If we could,
I'm trying to send him.
grant that as a hyperlink in there, then, and that'd be,
Yep, I will get it all sent over to you.
okay. And I just lost it.
So back with financial review and approval, so motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Video updates. Park. Hi, Heather. Any updates?
No, what do you wanna know?
What do you got? Anything, anything good?
Yeah, nothing. Working through the approval,
Good job, guys.
Yes.
we're working hard.
Good job, guys.
Thank you for being here. Thank you. We try to abide by the guidelines at all costs. Thank you very much.
So this is nothing to do with any of the art committee members, so I want to, but I've had some neighbors, homeowners who've been interested in like color palettes and the colors. They're having difficult times finding original paint colors, to some of their houses. We had one neighbor basically, I want the same color. I'm like, well, go look at the book. Well, it's not in the book anymore.
Kids just scrape it off, take it to Lowe's, they'll paint match it. That's what most people have to do.
So
Here's supposed to be approval.
Yes.
But it's a approval outside of the current ballot guidelines. This was my original color, I've never painted my house.
Yeah.
As long as nobody else has painted the same color, free. Yeah.
So, and what I did with Upton Neighbors, I had my house basically painted, and the painter was a Sherwin-Williams representative, so basically he had a scanner go over there and actually scan the color for him, but then they told him like, well, I got my own painter anyway.
Yeah.
But the question becomes is there any place that shows a homeowner could go to see what their original color palette was?
If you were the original homeowner,
Yes,
you should have
they
got a
were.
binder from Deezer telling you every color that was used within your house.
Okay, and if
So
there.
if they don't have that, then I cannot help them.
Okay.
If a color is retired, if they're the original owner and that's been the color of their house, it could be a retired color, and that color can no longer be used.
So they couldn't make their house the original color.
Correct,
They
if
can
it is a
request it.
retired color.
If it's not in the current book, it's not, you know.
Correct, my house is retired.
That's gonna be an
color.
uncomfortable
I cannot
conversation,
paint
but.
There's no grandfather
Trying to
clause?
say that if it's not in the current house, then you can still apply, saying this is the power that I assembled, and the board would vote on whether to approve.
Well, the art committee would vote on it, and the homeowner, if it's denied, then the homeowner has the right to appeal to the board to say, hey, this was my original color, and I want it this way. But
Right.
the way that the art committee has been operated, at least through 2022, and the way they will continue to be operated through 2024, is they have sole discretion. If a homeowner wants to say, well, I want to do X, come to the board meeting and talk to us. But they have sole discretion to say yes or no. And there was a change made to this, and we'll fix this in a minute. The guidelines that were in play through 2023, that there's a loophole in there, it's number 9 something or whatever, that basically gave the board overstepping and overpowering the art committee, which shouldn't be.
You say you're gonna override that, then you're gonna vote on the guidelines in that?
Yep.
But you're gonna change the owner's right by doing that.
Nope.
They have a right that exists now in the guidelines, and you're going to change to make it so they don't have that right anymore.
It's
That
changed
change
by
would require a mailing and notice, 14-day notice to the community that they're voting on owner's rights.
You're gonna change it.
We didn't do that last time, and they didn't do it either.
You're
Yeah,
right,
they
last time
passed
was
out, they did, there was a notice that went out,
But it's changing the board's access, not owner's access.
I believe, oh, maybe, I know there was something that went out, where it was like an email or something.
He's saying.
In 2022, that process, so we voted on it at the meeting, it was still done, it was gone, and it was done.
I think we set it up, so when you set up the paint books, and we said you come in and review the paint book and everything, so. You have here.
You nailed it. The last time a notice that I'm aware of was sent out saying there was going to be a vote on the guidelines was 2021.
That's when we did it then, so that way it was set up.
There was a notice, I remember there was something, because we had the paint book here, and you could come in and review the paint book. Fox had it. And we sent it out, that you could go in and review the paint book and so forth.
That was just for the paint palette piece only that was amended, in I think that was actually 2020, if I remember correctly. It's on there, 11 those.
You have to do the research, but in 2021, a notice was sent out, and the guidelines were re-voted on at the HOA meeting that preceded the annual meeting.
I had to see the whole notice that sent out to see what.
Unfortunately, I have nothing to contribute to that, so I'm listening. We're going to continue.
Or the annual meeting notice, just that we will also be voting on.
Yeah, I have one, the Pre-Lakes Notice Architectural Guidelines. Yeah, went out April 12th, 2023, update from the Board of Directors. The Board of Directors meeting for April 27th, 23 at 1 p.m. at the Dupree Lakes Clubhouse to review the revised architectural guides. The guides will be reviewed by scanning the barcode below or going online. There's a barcode scan one. In this meeting, they will be discussing proposed revised architectural guidance, and all members are encouraged to come and provide feedback. If you're unable to attend the meeting, would like to make a statement or comment about the revised architectural guidelines, please email. And there was a barcode scan, and I don't know if it's on this one, but yep, it went out to everybody. It was I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was.
I remember that, it was a Wednesday at 1 p.m. meeting or something like that.
Correct, so it was April 27th at 1 p.m.
Yeah, we're not doing that again.
Was mailed out or just email?
It was mailed out.
It was,
I missed that.
Because we didn't send out all the guidelines, we didn't get a barcode and send to save that.
I never got a mail.
actually, I did get it, someone posted on Facebook going, why is this like this and what are we hiding?
I will say that those guidelines that were discussed with the former board member, he approved those, and then, those ones that you have now are not at all what the art committee worked on, those were his own doing. He rewrote everything himself.
So, hold on. So,
Not everything, but majority of
to
it.
Heather's point, to fix the issue that the art committee has brought up multiple times, caused several art members to no longer be art members. What is the process that we have to follow to be able to revert back to the art committee's proposed changes that were approved by the 2022 board group?
I would need to send out a notice to the homeowners saying here's the revise that the board will be voting on, and have the members have a chance to review, and then come to that board meeting and speak their piece about what they like or don't like.
So next meeting?
Is that for the next meeting?
Yeah, and we can send out the same, we can do, and that's why we did the barcode notice last time to save, because we didn't want to send everybody those huge documents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we were all here at the annual meeting, we preached transparency, and transparency is what it is.
Yep.
If that's how we have to do it, then that's how we do it.
Can we email these as opposed to mail? Do they have to be mailed?
Not everyone's on email list.
Can you just
What about for those who
changes
opt
you're
in
already
for it?
making for June and say, why do 2 notices?
Why can't we opt in for it? For those who actually look at their emails,
Two separate
opt in,
things.
same thing with
Right,
electronic
so why
voting.
couldn't you just
Same
Opt
post.
in for it,
send out
get it
one
through
notice?
email, and then mail out to whoever is not on
Well,
board.
if you guys choose to do the electronic, you have to have the notice anyway, so this would just go with the notice, we're gonna do that anyway.
Can we notice more than one thing?
Yeah, but-
Notice one.
This could save us moving forward, maybe not just for this board, but for ongoing boards in the future, because let me tell you something, if I see something this thick come in my mailbox, circular file, I'm not gonna sit there and go through it, but if I see it on email and you have the option of sending it to 2 email addresses per home, we do it once, we bite it now, and it saves us for boards to come.
Right, so that's why if you're looking to do the mailing, we can send out the notice with the barcode and it's online,
And
and
then
then
if
with the electronic.
Yeah, and then if you're still hell bent, you want good old Uncle Sam at your door with your stamp, have at it.
Mhm.
But yeah, take it down now.
This was the
Are we
same.
good, guys?
Yeah.
Are we in agreement?
No.
Sorry, we were
Okay,
trying to discuss.
all right, so the same thing with electronic voting we're gonna do for now. So we're gonna put it out there to everyone who ever wants, emailed,
Yes.
whatever
Opt in or out.
opt in or out. We'll send it out with the revised errors and changes. We take it now, and then we enhance boards to come. We
I
just
agree.
do it with our budget now. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So when we do a mailing, we can send multiple things in one mailing?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
That's
We're gonna
fantastic.
pay the cost to opt
Right.
in now, and it's unfortunate,
No,
but it's
I
the
get-
same thing with electronic
I get with
voting.
electronic.
Do it now, and it's gonna save it for
Yeah.
boards to
That's
come.
not what
Because even if you opt into electronic voting, I still have to mail out, do you wanna opt in? So if you're gonna do that, you might as well go
Members per
together.
household.
Because part of the financials that we'll go over, and that was one thing I was gonna talk to the board about, and we moved on, is I'm gonna go back and do a motion to approve the financials for distribution to the membership. Legally, it's required that within 90 days of the new fiscal year, you make the end of the year financials available, so with those changes, we'll do a motion tonight to approve financials for distribution, and I have to mail out a notice or send out a notice some way saying the financials are available. If you want a copy by mail, we'll send it to you at no charge, or we can email you a copy, or they're available online. So if we make a motion, if no one has any change with that, we'll just put that all in the mailing, all the year-end mailings that we have to do anyway, just stick it all together.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
A second.
Motion and second.
I make a motion.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're unanimous.
Everything, and then anything that is sent, Joanna, is there any way we can put that on the website for viewing capabilities for those who don't check email since it went out electronically, can we have it readily available on the website?
Yes, put it on the website, we will mail it out, and then we'll also post it on, the portal
Right,
software.
so let's just say by some sheer miracle, I don't get my emails, I can go on to the Dupree Lakes.
Or your-
And it's right there. So that's three
At that
different
point,
options.
yeah, 3 different channels of opportunity, and you don't
Good.
take one, then that's on you.
Right.
Yeah, totally agree.
Done.
Yeah, if you can't read emails.
And you can't look
We
at the
still
website.
talk about our committee. We need another member.
I'm getting there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, almost. Actually, you're gonna get to it.
Okay, perfect.
And you know why? You're not.
Don't even look in my direction.
You can't do it.
Look that way.
Technically. So before we do the manager's report of delinquencies and violations, move past that whole business to our discussion to hit that specifically. We need to open it up to the community to add 2 members to the committee to make it 5. The reason I say 2, Heather, smack me if you want, one of the members technically still owns a home in the community, doesn't reside in the community. It's nothing against that person, but now if she wants to reapply, she can reapply.
No, I
And I
completely agree
encourage,
with that.
Well, and the way we did it in 2022, we put it out there for everybody, we asked everybody to apply or reapply, and the ones that applied, there were 5, so it was 5, it was pretty simple. If you have 10, then we'll figure that out, but, Jeff?
If we're revising the guidelines, I would suggest adding in the requirement to be on the ARC would be a resident and owner.
I agree, because it's, right now, the way it's worded is that all they have to be is a homeowner.
Correct.
It doesn't say a current resident of that home.
So, from my understanding, every, ARC request right now requires 3 approvals from the committee, 3 different people. Is there, when we are discussing the bylaws, is there a way for us to discuss things that are already like pre-approved pallets or pre-approved shingle colors? Can we make that less people to approve it?
No, because there's still, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, no.
There are other factors, it's not just the color, because there are rules within the guidelines that there are 3 houses on either side of you, that the base color right behind you can't match, so there's, honestly, from an art standpoint, it's a pain, because yes, it's an absolutely approved color, but you have to check and make sure that it doesn't conflict in the area.
How are 2 blue houses right next to each other on shared lists?
Believe it.
That was a long time ago.
There's history. Why is there a solid fence, and then there should be a solid fence, you know?
That's the color I wanted, and then I got off the pallet, I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yes, so I've only been in, what, 2 years? So anything before that, I'm sorry, I don't know how it got approved, what got approved.
I'm just thinking about it from an efficiency standpoint, but
Yes.
how many hours does the person on the art committee have to spend? Because I like to volunteer for shit, sorry, stuff, but I only have so many hours available in my day, my work day. But I feel like you guys need more help and need more hands in it.
Okay, so it's very easy, we are, as a committee, you have access to everyone that they are requesting. I go on every night, take 5 minutes, I look through it, I check the guidelines, which is on the HOA website, make sure they're in date. Now, if it is like a fence, a building structure, paint color, or anything like that, we do need to go look at the property, make sure it's,
In the daytime,
in the daytime.
Google Maps,
just
aerial
keep-
photos, satellite photos.
And here's what I do know.
But, you
Feel
know,
bad
there's
about
a
that.
group of you, so somebody can do that and say, hey, we did this and we found this. So, I mean,
And here's what I do
It's
know,
not
is
that
with the
much.
art committee, they do talk. They do ask questions, and
Interact with homeowner.
because there's sometimes, and I know I have Angela's on the art committee, she has questions, and she's like, well, what's this say? And I said, you know, what does the guidelines say? So she'll go out there, and I know she's asked you questions before.
yes.
And so she's still learning
Well,
the
yeah,
process.
the guidelines are, sometimes can be a little tricky, so we
Right.
have to discuss things, but.
So there are conversations when a homeowner has a request that fits that little gray area, right? That they do have those conversations and makes the best decision based on what they interpret, you know, and a lot of times it's in the homeowner's favor. There are a few times it's not, because these homeowners have done things that were clearly outside the guidelines. And at that point, the art committee is forced to sit there and say, you violated not only our code, but there's county codes out there that they're also in violations of, that they're our front line on responsibilities of, if they're in violations of county statute or code, we are now have to make sure that's corrected. And the homeowners often do things without permission.
But that's not, that Pasco County ordinances are not our authority level, or the art committee's authority level. That is solely on the resident of the home.
Do you look at permitting as well, though, to make sure everything's permitted, or do you just based on the bylaws?
They should be submitting that with their request if it requires a camera. Yes.
And your requesting more volunteers, do you have to register, like sign up for it, or are you just?
We haven't had.
No, your contractor always puts you in.
Yes, but I didn't submit my permit for my roof to Joanna or the board. It goes directly to the county.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
but your.
Right. She's saying we have to submit permit information with our art board, we don't.
I misunderstood.
Oh, no, yeah.
You guys walk around the neighborhood.
I just don't know. Research information. It's frustrating.
So, is there anybody here in the room, excuse me, is there anybody anybody here in the room that would like to be a part of the architectural?
I'm involved.
Okay, so we have two volunteers here.
Email Stacy and join, please.
Yes, do you have?
Email Stacy and join.
Okay.
I so-and-so, and just for everybody, would like to be considered for the art committee for 2024.
Okay.
If you are on the committee now, and there's only one of you that's actually here, please resubmit if you want to stay. Heather, please
Are
stay.
you giving stuff to the entire?
Joanna, isn't there
community,
something
like,
we
when
can
they're
put on the
doing
website that can
not the entire
say, click here
Yes.
to
Yes.
sign up for the ARC?
Yeah, I'll put that on there, but I'm gonna
Just
also
to make
do
it
the mail
simple.
out so that everyone knows.
Hey,
Okay,
Jeff
so
did
she's
love
gonna
that.
do the mail out and there'll also be something on the website, so if you go on our website, to Lakes, what is it, HOA? HOA.org, you'll be able to see a link that'll allow you to sign up for the ARC. It don't have to be a regular whether or not it's will be on my account and stuff on tonight, I have a group that has to be done for insurance. And he submitted it for the building, like, so we never got it, it's been like 30 days, I talked to my insurance about the last, and I couldn't figure what was the urgent need for insurance, so we had one vote on it. He's about to work and see, it's a regular color. 5950 blue sage, so it's, like an hour. It's the full one. But I have to have it for insurance, or it'll drop it. 5950 blue sage. Very excited. Heather, anything else? I'm gonna get you some volunteers, sorry, or, yay.
Yes. I will say, because, there seems to be a lot of conversation on Facebook pages about the art committee. If you have a issue and wondering why you got denied, please stop going to Facebook and complaining.
No.
Come to somebody that's on the
Instead,
board,
why don't you put a reason why the rejection
or
happened
come
on
to
the
an
rejection?
HOA meeting, or CDD meeting with a member present, or ask an art member.
Then we gotta wait
why.
3 months to come to one of these meetings that we're sitting here for an hour, so I disagree with you.
No, there is an HOA meeting and a CDD meeting every month.
Yes, great, we don't wanna sit here for an hour. If we got rejected, how about putting the reason for the rejection on the rejection?
Not 100%, but sometimes it's better to be front and say, hey, this is my issue, I just wanna be heard.
Normally, we
And
put it on there,
approach the board, like first and
Social
foremost.
media
one
is
is
a big
discussing,
before
I don't
everything is
know,
done.
I didn't see that approval, I haven't
And we
discussed
can
it,
resolve it before.
but I don't know if the reason was.
We could resolve it by communicating
I'm
the
gonna look
same
it up
way
on
on
the
social
social
media.
media.
I've invited Glenn over to my house to discuss it. I get it, if you wanna have a meeting and we have to come here and sit through 2 hours worth of other stuff in order to discuss it, no. There's social media, there's other ways to talk about it, you're on the meeting, I've invited you over. I get this big huge white fence along the side of my house, it's not approved. I asked for the same exact fence that I got, I was denied, I asked for a shed, I was denied, and all these things that I was denied for, it would have been easier if you'd have just written, no, it has to be like this instead.
And because I feel like I'm vaguely familiar with your circumstances, I have just a simple and honest, sincere question. Did you even look at any of the art guidelines about your request before you did what you did?
No, what I did instead was looked at all my neighbors who have the exact same shed in the exact same spot that I want my shed. And then I asked myself, much like the basketball hoop, where you say to yourself, am I gonna have anxiety from getting a fine because I have a basketball hoop? I wanna put up a shed, the exact same shed that my neighbors have, in the exact same spot that my neighbors have. They've had it for years. Should I have anxieties about getting fined for the exact same thing that my neighbors have?
Okay, so the question I asked, I heard no. You did not. So-
No.
So
Why did I go to an architectural committee to ask a question about my backyard?
Right.
You have no authority over my backyard except for the authority that
I
you've
would-
given yourself.
That is incorrect, and if you were to read the architectural guidelines,
I will again refer back to House Bill 437, which seems to supersede your ability to have clout over my backyard.
Actually, I replied back to that publicly, and everyone in here saw the reply to that. No, it doesn't. There are other guidelines and stipulations.
Right.
There's county ordinance that supersedes all of us, if it's within 5 feet of a property line. let it
Same
right
thing I'm
across the
saying
back.
to everybody else. I see sheds all over the place that have been up for 10 years. I want a shed in the same spot that I'm seeing other people who have sheds. They're not getting a fine. It's close, it's right up on their property lines. So why am I concerned about putting up a shed when I see it being done for 10 years plus?
Right.
The very first house you see when you come into our neighborhood has 2 sheds right up against their property line. It's been there for 10 years. If I want a shed, why do I have to deal with you guys? Why do you have any authority over someone's backyard is beyond me. But again, if it's something you're gonna fine us for and say to us on social media, you're gonna get fined if you do this, and then you are not fining other people, how do you single out someone to say, I'm going to fine someone?
well, obviously, there's nothing that any of us up here is gonna say that's gonna appease you or make you
I'm
happy to
sorry.
say, what
I
I'm saying,
think loud
what I
people.
would say is, just like we had a conversation not more than 5 minutes ago about original color paint, guidelines change. Other people are grandfathered in.
But you are changing, guys.
Rules change, right? We can't change the Pasco County code, right? We cannot change that. Those other properties that have no idea what other addresses you're talking about or whatever the neighbors are, could have 10 years ago, that Pasco County code may or may not have been in effect, but it is now, right? So you are now obligated by Pasco County to abide by those regulations. 10 years ago, that regulation may not be grandfathered in. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you're asking for a reason why 10 people 10 years ago can have that same shed and you can't now, right? The logical answer could be the fact that provision wasn't enacted, but now it is, right? And you're absolutely incorrect about, we have no authority this. We have to do,
Yeah.
when you moved into community with an HOA, right?
And I signed a contract which
Right,
said what
it's
your
not-
limits were on the HOA.
Right, what I'm saying is that when you moved into this, just like I did and everybody else here, right? We knew that we were getting an HOA. It was our responsibility to understand what those guidelines are. And I'm sorry that you didn't, right? But had you have, you probably would have seen that, hey, per Pasco County, I can't have it 5 feet in my property line to the back of the property line, right? And you realize, okay, if I move that 6 feet, right, then I'm now within that governing statute, right? But you clearly said you didn't read it. That's not our responsibility to force you to read it, right?
That's great, that's great. Here's my question, and I say it again. If you're gonna reject something, put a reason for the rejection.
Absolutely agree with you, and going forward, I think maybe that's a directive we can give the art
That's
committee.
the only reason I came to ask the
Right.
question. I've
And
been
then
rejected
I-
for so many things, and I say to myself, well, why?
Right, I absolutely agree with you, so that's part of the review process, we can go with our committee saying, hey, when you start rejecting, make sure you give a detailed explanation, right? So the homeowner can understand what it was, or what they can, and there's also rejecting, but, approvals with conditions, you have to approve it if you meet these conditions, right? So there's lots of opportunities there to find that middle ground. So we will definitely, when we go out to our community and have a conversation with them, when we do rejection, let's just give more detail.
They'll come from, that's 10.6.
So,
Well, no, I'm saying as far as the things, besides the declaration part, but I'm saying as far as,
Can we send him another letter as to why, so that when he resubmits his paperwork, he will know exactly what verbiage he needs to put, or exactly what the easement needs to be?
and while we do that, I would recommend or encourage, and I'm not telling you have to,
Thank you, sir.
find the statute about sheds and stuff like that to see where you can operate within that, and see if that will work for you on your property. You know, hey, I have to have a shed of this particular material, and it has to be this part of that placement in my yard, and see if you have an opportunity to do that. And if so, then there would be no reason to get a rejection, if that would help you in any way.
Doesn't the covenant say that all sheds have to be approved by the board?
Yes.
Yes.
It's covered under section 10.26.
So that's above the LNR, or has it been given to the LNR for the approval by the board?
I'm sorry?
Because the covenant says the board has to approve any sheds.
No, our committee,
It says without written expression from the board.
Right.
Anything else for the ARC? Okay.
We've, I think we've already discussed amendments, but,
Oh,
yeah,
well,
we've got some
and-
promises to uphold too.
Yep. You want to table discussion about the legal counsel for next meeting, or do you want to continue with that? Okay.
I have a quick question about the legal counsel. Does the counsel we currently have that we're shopping, does it have the same capabilities to do the electronic voting? Or is it only through the other attorney?
We can use that with any attorney or any group, we just pay a little bit more to.
And the other attorneys that you're shopping, are you sourcing them, or are you doing an RFP to like get some different quotes from different lawyers, or are you just?
That's a huge question.
There's not really an RFP. You can ask them what their rates are. It's different because they're gonna give you rates of paralegals and rates of the attorney, and they kind of use both here and there. It's hard to get a good read of what you would pay for an HOA attorney. You don't put down a retainer or anything. You're not signed in a contract. If they're not doing their work, you can get out at any time.
Hourly?
Correct.
So, and here's, the CDC just went through this a couple months ago, and with, CDD, sorry. And they brought in, and there are several attorneys in the room that night. And so they brought in the attorneys, and out of respect, the other attorneys left while the CDD board was interviewing them, right? And cost came up, for example, one attorney group said, yeah, we absolutely pay for travel from and to the office, back and here, stuff like that. Another attorney said, well, we typically do that, but we'll waive that fee, right? So as a board, when we do these, we will ask those type of questions. What exactly pay for? What are you actually willing to meet us halfway on? When we look for the right, now, the right attorney always isn't gonna be the least expensive. So I'm gonna say, because you will get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But when they went through that, I was super impressed. I was there as a homeowner observing that particular night, and I was super impressed the way that was handled and the way these attorneys presented themselves and made a good sales pitch. And there were a couple in that group that I believe that we're going to reconsider for HOA because of their knowledge, because of what they were willing to concede on costs, and what they were willing to offer.
Yeah, I don't know if you've already asked them about the electronic voting, but it sounds like everybody's very interested in that.
Yes.
So that might be an extra question to add to the list of
Absolutely.
questions for those lawyers. They have that capability at a discount.
Were there anything to
Yes. That's what I would.
All right, for the legal counsel, do you guys want to discuss the attorneys that are on there? So obviously, Becker Podcast is not on there. They are a big HOA attorney. They offer a lot. That's something that we can definitely look into if you do research. I will give you some opinions. Eric Appleton, I know that you've talked to great attorney service. They
were super
they
impressive.
stay on top. Yeah, they're great. Their rates are a little bit higher, but they are worth it for that kind of. So that's what I feel. George is very good. He does have knowledge about your community already, so that is good. He understands the way it works, so that he would have a little bit of history into it as well. Wesley Jones is out of Lakeland. He's a good HOA attorney. I don't know if he'd be the aggressive as where you want him to be as far as items. I do like him a lot. He works well. But I would recommend the other two over him if it was something for your community as far as staying on top of things, the violations, the way the offices work, the follow up on those violations, getting your collection status when you want it, how you want it. I use Wesley for a lot more smaller accounts that don't have a lot of issues, but I would recommend either Eric or George. You can use Becker and Polygon. We don't personally, I haven't worked with them in years. Not to say that they're bad, they're a large company in Florida. They do have the office and stuff, but I couldn't tell you their prices or necessarily how they all work.
From previous board, I had the opportunity to work with George on a couple of different occasions when we were pantry shopping back then, looking at some different things that were going on. And as you had said, he has knowledge of the community, has knowledge of a lot of things that have gone on previously, and was very open at the time.
And I believe he was,
Can anybody else back you up?
he was at the interview process, wasn't he?
Not for the CDD, no.
Okay.
He's not,
No, he's an HOA specific attorney.
his rates, are not as expensive. So the current attorney that we have, he used to work for that attorney that we currently have, is how he is aware. I don't know what happened, but he left and went to a different attorney's office. And, he doesn't charge as much. So that is something, I still find him just as good, but, that is the difference.
Would,
They both are very conservative on their approaches too.
I would actually, just to be, we have a fiduciary responsibility here. I would really like to have a conversation with them again about fee structures, what they're willing, you know, what we're getting for their service and what we pay for. Would it be,
We can get a fee schedule from them. I just can't guarantee you what everything's going to be because, like I said, they can use their paralegals and you don't know which one they're using.
right?
At the time.
And generally, it's basically an average hourly cost because if we take the most expensive, what they're paying for, and kind of somewhere in the middle there, they come up with a number. So, and it's, like I said, it's
Depends on the charge for paralegal, what they're charging senior rate.
Yeah, they'll tell you, like, this is what we charge for the attorney's hour for doing this, so we charge for paralegal. Then they do normally have basic, like if you're sending out a basic violation letter, this is the cost. If you're sending out a basic lien letter, this is what it costs. Obviously for any type, for both of these attorneys, anything that has to do with assessment collection, we don't pay for.
Sure.
That is all on them. We do pay for cost for printing, postage, reporting, that's little stuff, not very expensive. And then they get paid when the homeowner pays everything. For violation, that's one that they use the standard letter rate. Usually it's anywhere from 150 to 250, but anything that goes on beyond that, homeowners calling them constantly and then having to speak with them. If it goes to pre-suit mediation, if it goes to a lawsuit, they give you an hourly time, but it's hard because if it is a case that has to go to a lawsuit and go for the discovery of that, it's gonna be quite, so I can get the hourly rate for you on those, but.
well, give us, it's a baseline, so we can start from. So we would know exactly what our minimal cost would be versus, and it's easy to explain minimal cost, and it's gonna increase if this or this or this or this, versus being caught off guard for base rates.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I have one for them.
No, it's not that, it's just a breakdown of what we charge, because we're HOA, we're not just.
It's in here.
No. All right, so we get some rates for the two of them, and see what
Electronic voting with their fees would be, if we were their client, what they would charge.
I don't think they have electronic voting on either of those platforms set up. I don't believe so. Usually electronic voting, it's not, there's HOA services that don't have an attorney, that are applied on situation attorneys, so they're like a big, kind of bigger, they offer it. It doesn't have to be through an attorney. The other ones I haven't seen offer, they will refer you to platforms that are.
we find out what it is separately with a lot of people to see how much it costs us to do electronic voting just for that service.
If they have it. Like, I know
Anyone
Florida
that
she's
has
asking
it
for
doesn't
a
have to
third
be
party.
able to work from, I'm saying a third party.
Yes, I have been researching on those, there's one HOA host. Most of them, Becker Podcast is the cheapest, like 100, most of them range per household. And it's, you guys have a lot of houses, it could end up going, oh yeah, I've seen some.
I was spacing out when the vote was going on.
Right.
Did they table it for 90 days or is it dead in the water? Okay, because in case Rick asked me.
No, Becker Podcast,
I didn't vote.
I don't know.
I just spaced
I use
it.
the website. I use the research for you know, right? Look at the cheapest, look for something, and they did it through Becker Podcast. They're not with them.
I'm good with that. So let's find out if we'll do that. And find out if we can get that specific service for the electronic voting and then see, you know, final bids from, what was that, Eric and George, and see what they got. Just tell them we want their best one, or set up another interview with the CDD board and. All right, so then we'll set up a final interview with all of them.
What they do
And tell them we're gonna invest all money.
Yes, I mean, of course, we'll pass.
Right.
Do you want, so because now, you could try and we can do it by everybody, but sometimes you'll. It's not the only thing that she did. It's personnel, so yeah, have a talk about it. Yeah, you saw motion, you can have a discussion about that. I'll get it all set up and I'll let you do it.
Second, there's, needed some alternate.
Okay, so the payment plan request, that is from in here. This is, we're talking about, the major addresses for it.
So from that last meeting, that way, everything was supposed to stop as of last week, not the first night. Right? Any more pilot, not any more.
Correct, so, and she hasn't, we haven't added on to it, this was, so the money that she owes was for past due assessments and fines, and then on top of it, legal for the violation. She was under his name, she set it up, she defaulted on it, she asked that we restart it with her and just her to continue paying. So basically, does the board want to say, okay, we'll give you another chance to continue your payments for the settlement agreement?
From my understanding, fees have all been satisfied. This money would come back toward HOA as HOA income. Is that correct?
Correct.
So as far as attorney goes, right, because I think we talked about this last time, as far as attorney goes, they're selling, they're doing everything out there, this would be money we would. So my question from last week was, has this person incurred any more violations? Yes.
Okay, she's still open.
Okay, that was my question. So my opinion is basically. Yeah, my opinion is there have been violations. I think.
Yeah, there's one open.
But if it's a frequent violator, then she's not.
I'm gonna go sidebar on that, and I'm gonna say, take whatever fund she's paying for, out of that 2,000, whatever she owes, and her next violation, have her pay her own violation with those funds.
Thank you for your time.
So in other words, the 2,000 something that she's paying for the violation, like if she agrees to pay that, hold it to the side, and we'll make it like her particular fund, and say, okay, so she violates again, pull it out of those funds.
No, she owes.
She already owes that?
She owes this much,
She owed $9,029 and she paid $6,000.
No, but I'm saying, like, she has to still pay it, and she's just looking for.
Yeah, they're saying, do you want me to just go ahead and pay our costs and go for that amount, or do you want to work on
Set up a
payment
new
plans?
plan for the remaining of what she owes.
Did she, I'm sorry, did she offer the payment schedule? Did she ask her? Yeah.
So the home program payment agreement, she actually evaluated the judge and then she worked the payment agreement, and she defaulted. So when she defaulted and they reached back out and said, hey, you defaulted on it, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, hard time, I'll go back on the payment plan, can I do that? Because the settlement agreement is that we can go after her if there is a default, that's where it comes to the board, it says, hey, there was a default, she did acknowledge it, she's asking for the payment plan again, do you want to continue, or because of the default, do you want to?
I personally think that we can go back and get that payment. I don't think for this amount of money to go a lien on somebody's home for, I mean, she obviously was in good faith for, 2/3 of it.
I would do it contingent that she cleans up the violations on her property and they remain free.
Yeah.
For the,
Until everything.
Satisfied.
Yeah, we don't want to ever see her in violation again, obviously, but,
For the life of the payment.
until the payment plan's satisfied, no more clean up the current violations, and then until this is satisfied, no more of the violation, or if she gets one, to resolve it quickly before a second violation.
No, don't give her a second chance. If another violation comes through, we'll take further action.
Yeah, so just contingent the violations are all cleaned up for the remainder of the payment plan, and then she defaults again, and that's her chance to go back to the attorney at that point.
Yeah, I would take it a step further than that though, so if you default again, it's immediately due. If you receive another violation, it's immediately due.
So if there is another default, the attorney just proceed.
Right.
Or violation.
Clean up the current violation, resume the payment schedule. If there is another violation, all fees are due at time. Upon the
Receipt of the violation.
Or
Whatever the legal record is.
so, okay, I'm okay with that. So I'll make that the motion. All in favor? All right. So,
It works,
Okay, so there we go.
I know what you're talking about.
Are you guys on delinquency and violations per that manager's report?
We're going back to that.
We're doing the payment plan request.
Yeah.
We skip delinquencies and violations to get through some of the other stuff. And
Yeah.
we gotta go back.
Got it, just trying to follow.
Yeah.
All right.
For delinquencies, I don't have, like I said, there's 47 left over from last year, they're still paying, we're still getting them all processed. What I would like to do is send you guys over a delinquency report at the end of the month, and then those vote at the next meeting whether you want to turn those over, because we still have to go through the process of sending them a late letter and then the 30-day certifying.
Sure.
So once that's up, that way by your next meeting, then you can vote whether to move forward with those that haven't paid for the 2023 year.
And I agree with that because I know there's some, reading through some of those, some people had asked for an extension, for one reason or another, and I see that, like, I got confused when I see one was like dated January 19th of 2024, I said, wait, that's not, and then I started reading the notes what they put in there for the request.
That's the next section.
Yeah, so I am fine with waiting for the summary report to determine where to go from
For the
there.
delinquencies.
Yeah, anybody else?
That's fine.
Yeah,
No
so,
more hard.
Well, and to be honest with you, a lot of people did the bill, we changed locations, and we actually did like a PO box this time, so in case we change again, we wouldn't have to change that. So we've had homeowners call and say, I got my payment sent back to me, why did you return it to me? And we had to explain, no, we changed, they only forwarded it for a certain amount of time, and it's just their bill pay was set up. So while we work through all those things before we send people, and then violations, you guys have the report we've been going through. We're gonna start really going on Christmas lights. I see that there are quite a few of those that are still hanging out in the community.
Usually hit those starting January 30th, right?
No, we usually have them until January.
I just remember when I got one a few years ago.
We try to get it started around the middle of January because nobody takes care of it right away, so we want them completely down.
There may or may not be still Halloween decorations up in certain areas.
I know, and the problem with the Halloween decorations is why I got emails. Those skeletons?
They're not year-round skeletons. though.
I know, I do have people though that decorate with a Christmas hat, so it's like,
There have
well,
been some cool ones.
okay, and then I have one community that now it has Valentine's Day.
I was gonna
And
say
they put a
some
hearts
hearts.
in it and a Valentine's Day, so they are decorating that skeleton all year round.
so did you have a question, sir, about delinquencies or anything like that?
No, I just want to make sure if we're gonna.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, questions for you, Joe. And I'll try to get through. There's a lot of violations that are second notice over 60 days.
Correct.
Status.
Take a look at the status, I put it on the board document on the portal of the attorney, because a lot of these are at the
So it's in,
attorney's
it's in
report.
engagement.
I put it in there,
Okay,
and
yeah,
I'm sorry, I
okay.
did send it over to I sent an attorney asking him, and I copied Daniel on it, so
So you're waiting for a reply back from them to find this?
no, they sent it back to us, and
Okay.
Daniel was kind of, I sent it originally with just Mr. Terry on it. So I apologize, I didn't know, I thought he might distribute it, kind of waiting to see how the board was going to operate in that. Previous boards was the president received it, and then, so that's what I was kind of waiting on. But you guys have it now, so review those first, because a lot of those second notices have been turned over to the attorney, and that one was, I believe, November, so I'll get another updated one from him.
Okay.
Does that get updated in the system so that we know, we can see systematically that's been turned over to the attorney, that we know it's moving along?
The assumption is when we see second notice, that means it's at the attorney.
Usually if it's second notice, there's something, I will add an extra tab though for attorney action, and then we'll put that.
Like just something to stick out, like a different color, just.
Well, we
something
could put down here where it says like the first notice, the second notice, we could put attorney action and highlight it, and then if when it's clicked, that's when it's been turned over to the attorney.
Perfect.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, thank you.
Specifically to rental companies, I know we can't treat them any differently, 'cause I know Don, you're gonna say that. Are you guys able to individually follow up with the rental company, management company, and say, hey, did you receive our letter, and are you aware that your homeowner or renter at 123 Bob Street is in violation, and they aren't correcting it and you aren't correcting it, like I said, I know we can't treat them different,
I
but.
wish that we could, but we can't get a hold of the right people. I tried to send a violation to a lady that was going to the attorney, and she said, I don't handle the violation side, I handle the collection of the assessments. So, wrong side, call this number, and it was a 1-800 number. So we've called the 1-800 numbers, and it's the same people that the renters call, and you say, hey, this needs to be done, and they say, okay, we'll put a work order in, and
So what happens if the attorney violation, now we go and put a lien against the house?
Yeah.
Right? And then now that'll get somebody in
They'll
this.
start.
Yep.
They'll start
so
paying attention.
with the violation action, they will get a notice, and if they still don't request that, then you get an offer to mediate. If they don't respond to the offer to mediate in 30 days, then they get the lawsuit. And normally by then, they try to clean it up. But the problem with the investment companies, and this is what we've always had an issue, is they don't have necessarily a home base. They are located in a whole different state, and they have one manager that's maybe part of this region and has 20 homes in here, and 30 homes in here, and 40 homes in here, and they put people in there and they don't pay attention. When you send violation letters, they probably get 1 million.
Yeah, but they
And
care
they
when
don't.
they get their payments, don't they? They care when they get their rent payment, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Who's collecting those rent payments?
Well,
Their accounting side.
I was gonna say, we
Yes.
go after them.
It's their accounting side, and that's what I've written to the Times. I have their emails, because they usually ask for updated ledgers when they go to pay, and that's what I wrote last minute. And she wrote me back, send it to the attorney, I don't do that's not my vision of it.
Well, when they got a lien against the house, I guess it opens up, what does having a lien entail in terms of what can we do with the lien? From my understanding, the only thing that affects a lien, if they try to resell the house, they have to satisfy the lien. That's not the same as like if we could go in and start removing property or sell the property out from underneath
You
it.
can do an association foreclosure.
So we can do a.
So you wouldn't sell it.
Right.
It's getting sold on the courthouse step. The,
At auction.
the mortgage is not sold.
Right.
It is just the title. So you are still subject to the mortgage. So when the recession happened, we did this in a lot of properties, and we would foreclose. The renters, whoever's living there leaves. If it's sold, it can go to an investment company that comes in and rents it out. That did happen here. It wasn't the best. We had an investment company that had really bad renters in here. But if it doesn't sell, then the association gets it back. You don't pay the mortgage, you don't pay the taxes. Normally what you do is go in, fix up anything little in there, rent it out for a reduced rate. And with the caveat that the renters know that we'll give you about a 90-day notice, more if we can, and to move out. So we can't tell you exactly how long you can be here for.
Right.
So, but we'll give you a 90 days, at least 90-day heads up. When the recession was happening, because it was taking banks so long, and that was your way of the association making money back, because all the rental goes straight to your income.
Sure.
You don't have to pay anybody. I at least paid an attorney $100 to slow it down. And just to slow down the process and just put motions in and just slow down the
And if it's an
mortgage.
LLC, eventually it's gonna hit their bottom line because if it's still bank owned and they're not getting any income, someone's gonna take notice and then they'll want to settle.
Right, and that's when they get that. But then when the banks came in, you just told the party people and you just walked away from the property.
And we did, but like what Don is saying is, we have to treat them like any other homeowners. Would we do that to a homeowner,
Yes.
Yes. And again, it
I would
depends
say
on.
worse.
Yeah, for me, like this one case where it's $2,000 of where they were showing good faith, hard times, we all had hard times, I, as a board member, wouldn't feel comfortable putting a lien on somebody's house for $2,000. But if it's a rental, if it was a LLC that was habitually just ignoring these, eventually, at least this individual was willing at one point to work with us. And it sounds like they're willing to work with us again.
Did she pay her 2024 assessment?
No, yeah, but you pay it to the attorney, you should pay it to us. It would also go to the attorney. So the laws have changed as well, and there's a new one, and even Eric Appleton, they used to not do it, but I got a message this week. There's a self-help law, and it says because HOAs have been going after people, some HOAs get out of control with it, and the attorney costs and it just skyrockets for weeds and something small. They are making you practice self-help. So in your declaration, you have an abatement clause in it. It says we can go on your property with notice and correct the violation and bill you for that.
Right.
The laws now with the self-help club are enforcing you to do this. They're saying.
So basically, they would come to the HOA, have you tried to do this step before you go to the next of this?
Right, so if somebody has, say, weeds in the beds, and they're completely overgrown, and they got the first notice, second notice, what they're saying is prior to going any further, you would send a letter saying, hey, we are gonna come on your property, give you 10 days notice, we are gonna charge you $300 to clean the weeds out of your beds.
Right.
You can do this, if not, we will bill it to you, and then when that day comes, if the weeds are not taken care of, then a company goes in and cleans it out, and now they owe it as an assessment versus a violation.
And see, this is a good, perfect example of policy changing that affects, that it affects us, that what it was before is not what it is now.
Well, people are trying to get that changed because it has been, because you're not gonna pay someone's house.
No.
So
We're not gonna
they're
pay,
gonna
we're
resell
not gonna
something
pay
or
$5,000 every
But
payment.
that's what they're trying to make you do now.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of savings.
Well, if you pressure wash someone's house and you end up ruining the stucco, we all know there's been stucco issues here.
Yeah.
That's now on the board, so it's hard to find a vendor that's
I would
gonna
say
do that.
do that within reason.
Yeah.
Like if
I'm
it's a
saying
landscape issue, yes, if it's
Weeds
a
and
house
mowing and-
painting.
Yes, I think it has to be.
Gutters falling off, no.
Because like I said, there's probably, when I've been to about 4 or 5, I've seen that says paint. And at $5,000 a pop, times 4, that's $20,000. Well, that just,
There's also people trying to do paint jobs through their insurance, so they could be waiting on insurance companies too, so I think there should be some sort of,
yeah, there's a few more there.
yeah, some sort of something that says, okay, if you're in violation, but if you're waiting for your insurance company, give them that X amount of time that they need to get that rectified.
Well, and with the abatement, because some of these are that, obviously within reason, we send a note, but doing something like, hey, that's the next step, and it's something that can be abated, weeds in lawn, mowing, doing some summer. Joanna, just go ahead and do that, approve that, bill it to the homeowner on here, just give us a list of which ones you are abating, but you don't come to the board and have to ask for permission, that's probably the best. Because that's gonna happen a lot during the summer.
Yeah.
I give you one on Sweet William that doesn't ever mow, we've had abatement for on it forever.
So, I like that. I know one of the biggest complaints that I hear personally is my neighbor's yard looks like fill in the blank, it's full of weeds and whatever. Now the weeds are coming over into my yard, now I'm spending money. Robin brought up one, and I've got a bunch of emails, Joanne, I'm gonna send you and Stacy on those, but they have a violation notice to them for their yard due to the neighbor's dogs damaging their yard. And there's another one that's out there for, people parking in their yard, and it's the yard, technically, it's the gray area of the county/CBD owned sidewalk to road, but still at the same time, they're getting a violation notice to correct that when it's someone else causing that damage. So that you get.
And if it's weeds, we can have a spray company, can hire a spray company, come in every month and do it until their weeds are gone, if they don't do it, if they don't take care of it themselves.
Weeds, brown spots, overgrown.
Push walking
I
driveways,
can get a good deal on that, because I might be.
trimming palm trees.
You have a good lawn.
Yeah, anything we can do.
You have a good
So
lawn.
I don't recommend pressure washing houses.
You have a good lawn.
Oh, man, I had some brown, I had to,
We
I
had
went
a-
out there with spray, on my hands and knees out there doing fertilizer.
Yeah, we resodded in October.
So,
Oh, I've resodded.
The residing's not one that we normally do because they don't water it anyways, just.
no, I'm saying we've
Like
had
us.
damage, we've had to take out a whole chunk just because of.
I had to do that twice, and the third time, the brown spot came back. I literally found this stuff online that was in a spray bottle, and I said, I'm giving it a try, I put it out there about a 6x6 rate, and then, like, a month later, boom.
So to be careful, when you assess somebody for that, you actually only assess them for what you actually pay for the service.
Yes.
So be careful that if you have a company on like retainer for forced mowing, that your services are cheaper than what they could actually buy for in the free market, because we're offering service that they may want to take advantage of on a regular recurring basis.
So was the last part you said?
They may take it, like,
If
let's say
it's
I'm gonna pay
a-
somebody $120 a month to mow my lawn, and they're gonna come out 4 times a week, but the HOA is gonna send somebody out twice a week and only charge me $50 to do it. You may actually take, 5 people take you up on that, and say, oh, $100 a month, so they'll take care of this.
I was I'll keep paying the HOA the $100 a month
Yes,
instead of
I
paying the one.
I pay for my own, if you guys are.
You can do that, you can also, there's extra charges with the self-help, they can do like admin charges and stuff like that, because obviously we're having to
You
work
don't
to
want-
find the people and to schedule it and.
You don't want people
letters.
to do what, like what Don was saying, is to figure out, hey, I find it cheaper letting me pay the HOA fine than I am just hiring a person myself, so.
Right.
Adding the assessment and admin fees will probably offset those type of mentalities, so. All right, so what's the next item?
So, Joanna, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are on our list that do not have pictures on our list. So the question is, did the homeowner receive the picture? And 40954 is one to help you find it.
Pages,
It's closer to the middle.
There's some that haven't. We'll try to get them on there. Normally, we usually, it'd be like brown areas, something like that, that we get it. Normally, because I have taken pictures before that you think everything loads, and then for some reason it may not load. I know Stacy did a whole inspection, something happened with it and didn't load. And then,
I just want to make sure that, I know we've covered this a couple of years ago, I just want to make sure if they are getting, like, if it's on page 10.
oh yeah, the trash
There's 2 in a
cans.
row. One's for home faded and one's for,
I did the home faded one, and I can tell you, it was the back of the house, and there was no good way with the way the sun was going to get that picture. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna write it, so I'll get a picture next time, but there was no good way with the way the sun was shining to get that picture that you were gonna see anything in because of the glare.
So to use
So I'll grab
that, so to use that one as an example, on 1213, the second, and violation of consent on 1229. So,
I'll go by and get it tonight, so you can add that to it.
yeah. It's,
No, I guess not tonight, I'll go to tomorrow.
to me, it's unacceptable to send it to a homeowner and they don't know what they need to correct. And especially if we're gonna send an attorney letter, they still don't know what to correct. Now, it could be something simple as put your trash can away, or in this case, well, where's my home faded? You know, kind of situation. So I just wanna make sure that if we're gonna send it out, that
Well, and if there's homeowners call, we've had homeowners call before and say, hey, you sent it to me, where is it located? And then we go out and, you know, we have to or get it. But yes, we have to get it for the attorney stuff anyway, so if it goes anywhere else.
40986, that one individually, they reached out to the art committee, and I actually went to that one with Jess when she went to talk to them and help them find the paint palette color and all that or whatever, so there should be an art application out on that one. And there's a hold on that one until tomorrow.
what page? Where's the page number?
40986.
Oh, 86, okay, it's my number. Okay, just my number.
Oh, yeah, they know.
They are in order, I do mine by address, so everyone does it. Where's 0986? You can't say the address. Here it is, right, so there's only one letter that's been sent out to them,
Okay.
and then they have a message.
The follow-up one is tomorrow, but I don't know if I hadn't checked if they had put in the art request for it, but that one I know they are in the process.
Was that the one with the windows?
No, it was a paint request by.
Yeah, we'll see if it's in there, because they made it on 12/9, so we gave them a month
Okay.
to put it in, so I'll see if it was put in or not, but I'll.
Yeah, I know they're supposed to be doing it or whatever, so if that's supposed to be the second, just follow up with them before they.
Second goes out.
And hearing goes out to the attorney.
Yeah, they would get a second notice, so they haven't got a second.
Okay, that's fine.
It says second, but it just doesn't mark
There's
on
no- there's no
completed
second
date.
yet.
Yeah, it's just the second that's supposed to be sent out.
Yeah. Any other business deemed appropriate by our vice president, because our president is,
I want to circle back around to make a motion to make, create a committee to review and make edits to the bylaws. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, at that point, I would like to open up to the,
they treat that one the same, so we have to notify everybody and except everyone, so do the same with the other committee. There's a new committee, this is what the committee's gonna do, we need 3 to 5 people to be part of this committee.
any volunteers would be appreciated. Or necessary, actually, at this point. So,
Our goal is to get this out by June.
Based on another non-related meeting that is held in this room, What kind of qualifications or statement would you like with those applications?
Prior ARC number.
Yeah, I like that, Jeff.
Thank you.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because that was a point of contention. With willingness to, how can I word this, willingness to take the time necessary to educate themselves on what state guidelines and regulations are related to our declarations and how they can be of benefit and help, whether maybe they're an attorney or a paralegal, they have HOA experience, CED.
I remember this committee is there.
They just wanna help.
Is a recommendation to the board, right? So we would take that recommendation and obviously review it ourselves.
Honestly,
So basically, what's the interview process? What would be?
That's a better way to say it.
So basically,
It's
it's-
opposed to I'm interested, it's
Right.
what information you're looking for to help make a
Well, and
decision.
that might be best sent out along with the notification.
Absolutely.
This is the time.
As opposed to being asked for later.
To the
Well,
argument.
we're just answering now.
Yeah, so the way that,
What are your, why are you interested, what are your qualifications?
right, what makes you feel like you'd be qualified to, what, thank you, obviously, for your willingness to want to serve. Why do you think you could be beneficial to this, and what would you feel makes you qualified to help do these changes?
That's great. I was just saying, we just
And
put that in
availability
the
would-
notification.
Availability.
Right.
Yeah, because if somebody's gonna meet on a weekend or Friday after work.
Availability, meetings only, not availabilities after
Availability.
7.
Requirements, weekend requirements.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for bringing that back up.
yeah, so that's the only business I have left. Anybody else have any?
Open to comments and questions from members present. Whatever.
Yes.
Joey, go ahead, bud.
Can we make it a point that when we're having a meeting that runs over after the office closes, that they don't lock the bathroom doors?
Amen.
So,
Here, here.
so if that,
2 hours now, and I can't go.
I have the key.
Do you want?
Yeah, I have a key.
Is it?
It's literally on top of the.
I should have asked this question a while ago.
Well, I think the employee bathroom too, Joey.
That's when we raise our hand and say, may I use the restroom?
You are not allowed to use the restroom, I'm sorry.
Do we put that in the open comment?
Gentlemen in setback requested to use it.
Anyone else?
So, if we,
This is a summary, we're almost getting to this mail. It
Yes.
sounds like we added a lot of stuff.
alright, so your mailing will consist of,
Adjourn it, I'll tell you.
Adjourned.
okay.
Second.
Okay, so the mailing will consist of an electronic consent form